Well, David Tuckman here for AVA Poker. It's Magic Monday, folks. That's right.
Oh, here we go. Wow.
Whoa.
Oh, look at these hands.
Kings are good. We are heads up. The double elimination. I love double KOs. Whoa.
No, he calls, and it's going to be over.
I've got a keyword giveaway, Nick.
This is for another $109 ticket.
We're going to go with Madrid.
Type Madrid in chat. Type it. Wants to win.
There's a ticket. Oh, Banfield had a big one.
Oh,
Banfield.
The Jillians.
Oh, wow. What a run out.
Hello and welcome to another Magic Monday. Great to have your company on this Monday night as we watch the final table of the 100k Mystery Bounty main event on 888. Tons of giveaways, a free roll, lots of poker action, and the Pocket Nicks, apparently. I'm Nick Wealthall, joined by Nick Eastwood. David Tuckman is out tonight dealing with his ongoing legal problems. Nick, how are you?
Yes, I'm good, mate. How are you? Thanks for having me at short notice. I know you were requested.
Short notice. He got that summons, and God knows what's happening from here. No, David is out this week. He'll be back next week. How are you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate. I'm looking forward to watching some action.
Some red hot poker action.
Well, I'm hoping it's red hot. You know, sometimes it's, cold and blue. Hopefully today we get red and hot. You never know what you're going to get. That's the beauty of the game.
That is the beauty of poker, isn't it? That's actually one of the beauties of poker. Every time you sit down, you don't know what you're going to get.
There are several beauties. There are some, not so beautiful things that happen, mainly to me. But we won't talk about those today. We're only talking about beautiful things that are red and hot. How about that?
If you don't already and you want to see Nick suffer non-beautiful things, make sure you follow his Twitch stream. He's a member of our stream team. And always a pleasure to have him on Magic Mondays. There's his link in the Twitch chat. Hi to everyone on the Twitch chat. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hello as well. We've got, let's double check this, 5 $109 tickets to give away during this show. And then 2 more, so 7 in fact, but 2 more on the Wheel of Poker Justice at the end. If you don't know what that is, stick around, you're going to love it. We'll have a free roll later as well. So lots going on. Let's get into some final table action of the 100k Mystery Bounty main event. We've got apparently a $3,000 bounty ticket left. That's the intelligence I have, Nick.
That is extremely enjoyable because, this, by the way, is this is red and hot, Nick.
Yeah, it's exactly what you ordered.
Yeah, I mean...
fresh to your streaming.
Exactly. Channel. I can't think of any other adjectives for this flop as 2 pair against flush draw. There's going to be fireworks. I think Mukea, that's hard to say, will just call, and they do. I mean, I don't think either will be thrilled with this turn card. It is blind on blind, though, and that means that you get in thresholds or the hands you're happy to go with generally do go down a little bit. So I'm not surprised to see pot here from Aguero. I'm calling him Aguero. It's just easier.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, it's AG Hero. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, Aguero is. Interesting river, doesn't change too much, but Mukea, you could imagine, wouldn't raise anything anyway on the turn. So will they bluff the river, Nick? This is the question. It's tough. You don't really want spades. You'd like Aguero to have spades and fold. But when you get here with king high, it's very difficult to actually have nothing in this spot. So you're going to have to choose some flush draws sometimes, I think, as well. And they are going to decide to go through this. I don't think this will get through. I think they would have had to put a little bit more pressure on to fold this particular hand.
Yeah, I mean, Aguero is right at the top of their range here, isn't it? What hands do they have that they bet, and then check the flop? This is right at the top of that range.
Yeah, they will have a few straights and a few 2 pairs. Probably not that many sets, but they're going to have some okay hands. But you're right, this is one of the better hands that they're going to have after potting the turn. And I don't know if they'll find folding. I mean, it is really tempting, obviously, to fold, as we've spoken about before. You don't really want to be the first one taking hits on the FT. If they fold, they've still got 1.1 million. If they call, they'll have a hell of a lot more. Can they find it? Aguero, they have found it. Goes for the call, and there's the king high for Mukea. That's a really good call in the end, and up to 2.4.
There you go, red and hot, right out the gate.
Exactly. Couldn't have been much hotter.
20,000, 40,000. So you can do the maths at home because we almost certainly won't do it in commentary.
Some
big blinds. Everyone's got some big. No, we will do it, honestly. Everyone's got some big blinds. Liquid Zero, who I think you know and respect his game from the cash games. Nick, you were saying that earlier. He's our chip lead with nearly 50 big blinds. No, nearly 100 big blinds. Crikey, I'm doing bad maths.
Yeah, I've been seeing them around for ages, so I didn't really even know they played that many tournaments, but I haven't seen them playing cash for a little bit, so potentially they've switched up. They seem to be doing quite well for themselves here as they open pocket fives. We get a call from the pocket fours, and the flop will not be that thrilling for either. Who wants it more?
Good question. Is that the defining?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is about just who wants it more. Bieber may be aware that this is the kind of board that their hand doesn't. It's like looks really bad, but like this kind of hand that you have a clean set out with, it can become a good hand to like knock out some of the equity that your opponent can have against you. Like if they have exactly something like pocket 5/6, maybe 7/6, you get to clean up all the equity that you're way behind in, but your hand doesn't mind just going for a stab, and you can hit a set on the turn. So nice little pickup for Bieber, who wanted it more. Nick, confirmed.
He did, yeah. In the final analysis, that's what happened.
Exactly.
Hi to everyone in chat. A few hellos. Run good, Ilya Guy Get. Welcome, 1985. Good to see you. Formici, how are you? Darwin Class. No Money Player. Zep GG. Nice to see you. Champagne Poker. The Crazy Scotsman is here. Has 10. Sleepy the Old. Mo Shark. Jedamonus. Chip Taker. Parabellum. Lots of old friends. And you're very welcome if you're new as well. Good to see you all. Join us for another Monday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And folding all the way around to James on the button here.
Simply James.
Just James. James C. I know a James A.
It's not him.
No, it's not.
No, different one.
Limp from. We're getting some hard names this evening.
We are, aren't we?
Ducazinho. I'm going to go with Ducazinho.
Yeah.
It seems like a fairly reasonable limp fold, that one.
Mr. Krabs with a K.
Yeah, that one's I'm okay with.
That's yeah.
Yeah,
that's
easier.
An actual meaningful collection of letters.
Yes.
2 players would accept a deal, 8-handed, allegedly. Still haven't seen an 8-handed deal in all my Magic Monday final table streams.
I don't think the 2 shortest stacks will be getting any deals through, funnily enough.
That is the tricky part of their negotiating concept.
Yeah, they're not in a strong negotiating position.
They're not.
One of the times where wanting it more doesn't really help.
Wanting it more has limits.
Yeah, it does.
True.
Yeah. Oh, April getting the brags in the chat. Oh, fine. We'll shout you out. April won a ticket on my home game show and won the $16.50 PKO for $660. So that just don't let your dreams be dreams, guys.
She won $660 from a ticket. Amazing.
Yeah. From my show, totally not rigged.
Go a little bit. It sounds rigged when you say it like
does.
that.
Yeah, it does a little bit. I can only sincerely promise that it wasn't rigged, and hope that everyone believes me.
Internal investigation pending.
Yeah. So we don't have the big blinds tonight. So yes, we're doing maths. Not my strongest suit as a poker professional.
No, same. Sometimes we get them when it goes up a level, but it's just gone up a level. So I guess that's not happening. Kick the server, Eugene.
Yeah, come on, Eugene. Who's Eugene?
I don't know. The person, the tech guy.
We folded King 9 off there. I think that's probably on the tighter side. But just avoiding conflict, top of the agenda right now, I suppose. Often is at this stage. I would imagine that you've, with your vast experience, have seen a lot of, tough spot dodging in the early stages of an FT.
Yeah, it's definitely a very human thing to want to settle in to your final table. I mean, it's easy to forget because we obviously just come in for the final table, but these players have played for, pretty long day yesterday. 993 players enter the tournament, so getting here is a struggle, and you don't want to find yourself with third pair trying to make some sort of river hero call in the first orbit.
I mean, clearly Aguero didn't even want to have 2 pair.
That's right.
So it does funny things to the mental. It does.
It does.
And a couple of diamondy hands here, but only 1 diamond available on this flop as we go to King 9-6 Rainbow. I don't think James will be too disappointed to see this. Not that much connection from the small blind range. Depends how Bieber's constructing it, though. You could have a few more interesting sets and straight draws and stuff like that, but James sees no reason not to see bet, and I like it. Hard spot, though, for Bieber to continue in. How do you really proceed here when you have no direct, clear equity? Does decide to fold.
Seems fair enough. James up over 2 million.
Go on, James. Well, Liquid Zero pocket fours here, but as we know, no fours available left in the deck. Not a single one. As James folded one under the gun, and Mukaya has one in the big. Still will open this, though, as it's a strong enough hand to get frisky with that big stack. All around to Mukaya, who will probably have to let go with 6-4 offsuit, and does. Nearly 4 million now for Liquid Zero.
Yeah, huge stack. We do have a free roll for you tonight. As ever, we wouldn't leave you hanging. We're giving you some chance to play some free poker. It's the 88 Poker TV special streaming free roll. It starts in 20 minutes. The password you'll need to get in and try and get your hands on a share of $500 is M03888. M03888. I don't know what any of that stands for or means, but that's what they've gone with.
Yeah, especially on the second part. No idea where they've got that from. Ace deuce shove here from McKay. This is a spicy shove, you know. This, you know, it is a big little. You know how much we talk about big little.
You do. You love it.
Yeah, and I imagine McKay just thinks Aguero is just doing too much opening from the button. Therefore, if you have an ace deuce, you have. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it as many times as I can to remind people, but ace to block the top of the range and the deuce to unblock the folds. So there you go.
Block and unblock.
Yeah. Does everything.
Fun
what doesn't it do?
Unblocking.
The only thing it doesn't do well.
Make good hands.
Yeah, is make good hands. You really need them to fold, guys, okay? Don't forget that step. Big important moment in the hand, that.
Hi, Emilian. Hi, Joe Tramus. Good to see you. Hello to everyone watching, everyone in chat. Hi, Gicello. Good to see you too. Thanks for finding us on a Monday night, whether you're watching on Twitch or YouTube. We are happy to have your company. Nick Wealthall, Nick Eastwood, calling the final table of the 100k Mystery Bounty event, main event on 888. Straight draws, sort of, kind of.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of sort of things going on. I remember last time we did one of these together. It wasn't long ago, obviously, and it just kicked off like.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Immediately,
pocket pairs all over the show.
Everyone just had queens and kings every hand. Yeah. It was glorious.
It was weird.
There are a few things that could happen here. Our two hopeful dealers look like they may be getting in the mix here. Only a 10 big blind shove here coming from Mr. Krabs, and I think Mukaya. Oh, it's super close. This one, it's sort of like ace 9. You definitely fold. Ace jack, you probably go with. What do you do with ace 10 here, though? When it inevitably goes in, I mean. I'm waiting for Mr. Krabs to think, let's snap it off.
They do cover them, I suppose, so slightly less fear. Straights. No straights.
No straights. That diamond was covered. Mr. Krabs going to take the double. And as you mentioned before, as we should obviously be paying a lot more attention to, or at least I should be, is that 3,000 bounty makes a huge difference to your calling range. That's a lot of money. It's a big ladder in this tournament.
Yeah, $3,000 is basically fourth place prize money.
Yeah, it's a big amount of money. So it makes a lot of sense that you're going to be pretty much taking, in if you're not at risk, pretty much taking any sort of hand that's not going to be totally rubbish into the battle to try and get that 3k, as the ladders right now are nowhere near 3k. Aguero stepping out with the ace deuce is a little bit loose from low jack, but we can get away with it.
But wait, you told us big little was good.
It's good in certain situations. It's mostly used as 3-bets or shovings and stuff. But this is about as good as it gets for the ace deuce, the big little. It's still powerful. You can still hit the top card.
Yeah, you can.
And flush draw here for Liquid Zero, our chip leader. Won't be going anywhere just yet. I wonder whether they want to ever check raise here. I think it may be one of those spots that could be over attacked just because maybe people are c-betting a little bit too often. So it's fun to carve out a few check raises. You obviously do have a fair chunk of King X in the big blind when you defend. Stuff like King 9 off, King 10 off. There's a lot of hands like that. And now we are on the river with 7 high, which is kind of the reason why some people do like to go with the check raise. Gives them multiple avenues to win the pot. And now we are stuck here, probably with a decision between a large and small bet. And I do like a small one, just in case we're trying to fold out some sort of queen high hand. This will never work, though, against Aguero's hand.
Against Aguero's hand, it won't.
No, it shall not. This is not, to be fair to Liquid Zero, not designed to get Aguero to fold this hand. It's designed to get them to fold something like pocket eights or queen high, which I think it has a fair chance of doing. If he folds this, I'd be very surprised. And Aguero is going to stick it in and picks up another £1 million pot, nearly at 3 million now. So that chip lead being contested quite fiercely.
Yeah, and I think you can see the potential value of actually attacking earlier in the hand there.
Yeah.
Like if he check raises the flop, obviously, for a similar size bet, or even obviously a bit smaller,
Yeah.
he's going to get a lot more folds.
Picking up the aces here is Mr. Krabs. Nobody's really got anything meaty, and Aguero's gone for another very loose open with the ace-4. Did work for it last time, though. And Mr. Krabs, I imagine, will 3-bet as this is the common, thing that's done. But flatting here, very strong as well. Just because, at these stack depths, there's really no boards you're probably ever going to fold anyway. So you may as well lure some value from somewhere, somehow. Didn't go for it this time, though, which is understandable. 3-bet is the natural course of action. Pock 4 under the gun now. Aguero really ramping it up.
Yeah, I mean, look at that VPIP there, pushing over half their hands.
And there's a set rewarded for their continued aggression. Kind of board where you'd expect to see some maybe slightly larger bets, and with that ace of hearts and 2 overcards, it's going to be very, very tough for Bieber to get away from this without losing a few more chips. That is, of course, unless we see some runners, and we do see bigger bet here. And I think this could be out of position, another one of those situations where Bieber just goes ahead and says, you know what, I can't be bothered. It's just started the final table. I really don't want to lose a big pot. I don't know how to navigate from this situation. And it's a very timely fold, probably not theoretically correct, but, as we say, and we'll continue to say as often as it's relevant, people do not like to lose chips early on final tables when people haven't yet taken their leave.
No, and playing a big pot out of position with ace high isn't fun, is it? Especially when you've got so many shorter stacks.
Yeah. Not the hugest fan of the open shove off of around 17 or so big blinds. My maths is obviously, remember, not very good. But there's a lot of big blinds to shove there. That's such a good hand that you want to, pick off a little bit of extra value. Maybe the big blind defends, you can win a slightly bigger pot. Maybe you get shoved on, you can obviously call off. It's more like I really don't mind just picking up the blinds kind of play, because again, we just don't want to be out first kind of thing. We don't want to risk anything by entering into a more difficult situation by just opening or playing it trickier.
3-bet here, and what do you think about this? 3-bet and call if possible.
Yeah, I mean, both absolutely fine. Even fold up versus under the gun is totally reasonable. What I am surprised about is that Bieber has generally avoided confrontation at every possible situation, and now they're stepping out with the 10-9 of clubs, which is...
They're warmed up, Nick.
Yeah,
they've seen an orbit. Let's go.
They folded like a lot of marginal spots, which led me to believe that they're probably, in self-preservation. This is decidedly not self-preservation, by the way, because they're probably going to get shoved on here in James's spot. Jack's a little bit too strong to be relinquishing, although they are taking their sweet time with it, Nick.
Yeah, shove seems absolutely fine here, unless you...
dearie me.
I don't think fold is... I was going to say something about calling. I don't think you can fold jacks to 1-3 bet.
I wouldn't have thought so, but then again, it's not my strong suit. Again, we're just avoiding conflict. We've got a middling stack which we're happy to nurse. We don't want to take marginal, what we perceive to be quote unquote marginal spots with jacks. What I will say is that if people are folding jacks to 3-bets, then we definitely want to be ramping up our 3-betting aggression. Because,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, maybe they've been playing together before, and he just thinks Bieber's very tight, and might be wrong about that, but might have that read. Don't know. But I mean, it's a big fold.
If I'd seen the hands that I'd seen Bieber play so far, I'd be pretty terrified by that 3-bet. I think
that's true.
I think it's reasonable to be terrified by the 3-bet, but it's the kind of hand where not even to call is quite interesting. It's like, I guess they're thinking if they call, they're sort of hamstrung themselves into a much bigger pot they don't really want to get involved into, and then they have decided just to let it go and fight another day, which you can understand. But, you can understand the human reaction to any sort of absence of aggression or trying to preserve your stack. That just isn't necessarily the way that you should play to make the most money playing the game. But each to their own.
They're back at it here, Nick.
They are.
Size bet on the turn from James.
Yeah, and again, just very interesting. And probably James would say, look, guys, I just fancy my chances in smaller pots, keep the variance lower. don't want to put my stack in a spot where I'm very unclear whether I have the best hand. I'd rather outplay in the small pots where I feel like I have an edge, up to 2 million chips. What do you think about that kind of thing? Which I do appreciate is as a fair strategy.
Thanks for watching tonight. Nick Wealthall, Nicky's for bringing you the final table of the 100k Mystery Bounty main event on 888. Hi to recent chatters, Cindy Bear, Farn Roses, Nettie, Tower, Alpolo. Good to see you all. Welcome along. We'll have some tickets for you shortly. We've got 5 $109 tickets, the big boys. We've got those to give away during the show, and 2 more on the Wheel of Justice at the end of the show once this is wrapped up.
Yep. And interesting decision here again from James, who just flats the small blind with pocket nines. Again, just avoiding conflict with stacks that are bigger than his. Knows that Aguero, if they so choose, could just put loads and loads of pressure on. We obviously know that wouldn't have happened this time, but James cannot see the cards. Aguero probably will check back this turn again, just because their showdown value seems decidedly non-zero. Hoping to beat maybe something like pocket fives. We know that James is probably going to win this when the river goes tap, tap one more time. I'm not expecting to see a bet here. I can't see what it would accomplish. Certainly not for value, and a bluff seems unnecessary when you can just win. And check it is. And James picks up 300 more thousand chips.
No eliminations in the first 20 minutes.
No.
One very short stack now. Makia's now 300,000. So we've just gone up to 30-60. So 5 big blinds. Yeah.
We could get a London buses situation, though. No knockouts, and then 2 or 3 come along at once. Aguero just opening, by the way, pretty much like whenever it folds to them.
Yeah, pretty much.
We haven't seen them open like any absolute garbage, but I imagine that they probably will open some absolute garbage as well. Yeah, it seems likely.
What do you do when somebody's doing that, Nick? Somebody's like just opening every time he gets to them. Do you do anything about it? Do you sit tight? What do you do?
It depends on your. Obviously, always the ICM dictates a lot of what you want to do. You know, if I'm a middling stack, I might experiment with some 3-betting. Just because somebody's opening a lot of hands doesn't necessarily mean they're going to like stick it on you with 4 bets and everything. No. Sometimes they've only got 1 gear and they're just snap folding to a lot of 3 bets rather than like getting. It's easy to click the 2 big blind button, you know, and just open it up and see what happens and take one away. It's not so easy when you're facing a 3-bet against someone that can really damage your stack. So if someone's stepping out a lot, usually you're going to want to, if you can afford to, start applying a little bit of pressure back yourself. If your interest is to try and win the tournament. We're going 3 ways to this flop, by the way. And Mukaya, who you said was about to potentially take their leave, will probably not.
I mean, that's quite a neat trick, isn't it? To get 2 players to call and then flop the stone nuts. Yeah,
certainly something I should consider incorporating. And we are not going to lose anybody again.
We are not.
Bit of a loose one from Dookie on the button with King 9 off. But we are going for that 3K. We've spoken about it before. It does a lot of weird things.
We don't always have perfect intelligence on this, but we believe there's a $3,000 bounty left at this final table. And just to underline, that is about the same as 4th place money. First place is 7,500. 4th place is 2,900. So it's a really significant bounty still.
Well, I think now we do have a situation where, I mean, Aguero is just, by the way, opening every single loose ace. Duke is going to go for the flat, and Bellum's going to shove, and I don't believe we'll see Jacks fold pre-flop this time, Nick. I would be very, very surprised. In extremely good shape against hands like this, and also, you know, flipping against a lot of Bellum shoving range as well. Goes for call, and that's a jack on flop, which will pretty much end Bellum out in 8th place, our first elimination of the day.
Yeah, well done to them. They battled through nearly 1,000 players to be here. Unfortunately, Tens is less than Jacks. They get $900 for their final table appearance. And what were they worth? 17 cents and $47. Ducasino wins that. Also takes the chip lead, 3.5 million for them, which is 60 big blinds.
Yeah, so interesting things will happen here. As more people get knocked out and we don't lose that 3K, not both two things happen at once. One is that the ladders get higher, so the bounty matters less. But the other thing that happens is it's more likely that the bounty is the one that you open next because there's less people, left in the tournament. So it will continue to remain extremely relevant as we go through this final table. Everyone's going to want that 3K whenever they can try and get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guerrero top pair.
A monster for them,
Yeah.
given their pre-flop range. Bieber hasn't played on in these situations. Had a very similar situation a few orbits ago. They do this time.
And a little bit hopeful, maybe, as we go to the turn for Bieber. Aguero will almost certainly bet blind on blind. This is pretty big, this hand. Want to get some protection for sure, and give yourself the option to check back river. Get your value now with a hand that's very good, but also doesn't get much better.
It stays good. 2.8 million for Aguero.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Nick, about giving away tickets?
I feel strongly about the fact that we should.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Helpolo says, excuse me, Nick or Nick, can you put the chips in big blinds, please? I would love to, but we don't control it. Oh, wait, we have.
Oh, wow. I didn't know we could do that. Alpolo's got more power than we do.
Alpolo is very powerful.
What a god.
Yeah. Don't know how that happened. There you go. Easier maths. Now, when Nick East was on the show, that there's going to be a Liverpool question, so you might as well get Liverpool stats pages open. But no, it doesn't help you because I won't have them open. We're going to play What Does Nick Think? If you haven't watched the show before, you haven't got involved before, it doesn't mean you can't win because it is a simple guessing game. You can play on YouTube chat or on Twitch chat. The only rule is that you can only enter once. You only enter once. I guess the other rule is if someone's taken a guess, so someone guesses 100, no one else can then have that value. Closest to whatever Nick thinks, whichever one of us it is, and we do our best to answer the question in good faith, whatever we think, that is the winning answer. So Google doesn't actually help you. It's what we think. Have you got a question, Nick?
I do have one.
Brilliant.
I do.
Fire at will.
Well, as we know, Liverpool FC are the best team in the country.
Yes.
Soon to be confirmed with silverware.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah, same. Really quite aggressively into it. So as the best team in the country, they obviously create a few chances. But what I want to know, Nick, is how many big chances, quote unquote, have Liverpool created this season, according to Premier League official stats? How many big chances have Liverpool created?
Do you have any information for us as to what a big chance is?
No. Big chances created is like the newest, like the third after assists now, Big chances created is like how you value a winger when your strikers are terrible and they can't finish. Darwin.
Do people argue over it, do you think? Do you think they look at the tape and go, that's a big chance?
I believe it
goes, no, that's a medium chance.
It could be XG related, depending on how what the XG of the chance is. I don't know what the parameters are, but I'm not going to give you them because it actually doesn't matter because whatever you say will actually be right.
I mean, it's just the nicest part of my week.
Well, being right.
Yeah,
you don't get to be right.
Getting something right, no matter how bad my answer is.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Well, as you ponder, we do have a hand developing. Two players with a piece. James with a bigger piece. But bottom pair backdoor flush draw is one of those hands where you kind of do some stuff and some things sometimes. Now Mr. Krabs will be check folding, I imagine. But James may not always bet here, which could give Mr. Krabs an opportunity to catch up. Will James bet? Certainly a close one. No time bank really left. Spade on the river helps nobody. It's a matter now probably of first whether Mr. Krabs want to go for an elaborate bluff, which they could. It would be rather spicy. Or whether James wants to go for value. I don't think James will go for value, but I certainly wouldn't rule it out. It is a dicey spot for value because what if you bet like half pot here and you just reopen the action to get shoved on? It's not a nice situation to put yourself in. And you could just tap the table and take it. It does go for the maximum value line, which is for half pot-ish, and it's just going to take it down.
So we've got 2 stacks around about the 15 big blind level, but obviously nobody on life support. We think we've got a $3,000 bounty up for grabs, but actually what we haven't had is too many big hands. We've had jacks versus tens, obviously, but we just haven't had much, too much action, have we really?
Not much in the way of spice, no.
Spiceless.
We started quite warm with the flush draw against the 2 pair. I thought we were off again, but since then it has decidedly cooled off.
Disappointing.
Aguero's doing his best, though, to be fair. Aguero's, wow.
Yeah, he's bringing the action. No two ways about that.
I'm pretty much in love with this bet. This is basically just saying, look, Liquid Zero, do you really want to tangle with me? I'm probably one of the only 2-3 people that can harm you here. If you fold here, even a medium strength line like a 4 or pocket 5, 6s through 9s, which you know Liquid Zero can have here. Maybe even a weak 10. Like, what do you do out of position here versus Aguero, who has obviously all the strong hands in their range? Leveraging those 2 overcards and that fold equity picks up a good pot.
And then folds a hand. This just in. Folds a hand.
First time.
Make sure you get your guesses in. Contest is still open. There's 2 $109 tickets up for grabs. 2 $109 huge prizes as ever on Magic Monday. That's why it's magical. Part of the reason anyway.
Am I allowed to comment on someone's answer? I'm not going to give anything away. I just find it fascinating that Brent he said guessed 188, realised it was taken, then guessed 299. So it's like a complete re-evaluation of his life.
I'm instantly unconfident in my guess, despite the fact someone else went for it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to Price is Right them in that situation, aren't you? You're supposed to go like 189 or something.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Well, doesn't work as well when there's lots of other guesses pinging around, though, I suppose. We're going to get a raise here from Bieber, by the way. He's just decided that Liquid Zero is probably c-betting that queen high board. Well, it's not a c-bet technically, as it was a limped pot, but probably just going for it a little bit too often. And as it's very tempting to just look at the 3 big blinds out there and just toss out a big blind and hope for the best, you know? Mm-hmm. Now, the interesting thing is Liquid Zero probably knows that Bieber knows this. And then you have to decide if you want a 3-bet, and they do.
That's a nice bet on Liquid Zero, because it's one of those boards where it's like, well, what is your raising range of value hands here?
Yeah, exactly.
7-4, no suits.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, how many of those hands want to just stump the action and check back the turn? How many of those hands are just complete nonsense, like the one that Bieber had? When you really boil it down, how many super strong hands are you really going to be shown there? And the answer is not a lot. And Liquid Zero correctly assesses that most of the time they're going to get a 3-bet through there, and they do.
Nice play from Liquid Zero.
Very nice. This season, Berber. This season.
Yeah, this season. How many big chances this season? The contest closed anyway.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
well, there you go. Too late.
Closed it, and Lime decides. Sorry. If you didn't get in, or it turns out you haven't won, do not worry. This is the first 2 of the 190 giving away. We've got 3 more to give away, and we've got a Poker Wheel of Justice with 2 more $109 tickets on it. If you don't know what the Poker Wheel of Justice is, stick around, watch it. You will definitely want to be a part of it next week.
I mean, that question from Fabregas, I wouldn't even... I mean, I could probably figure it out because I don't miss many games, but that would be a lot of
time.
Is
how many minutes did Easty invest in his life to watch Liverpool matches?
So many, but it was every single second was worth it.
You watched like the
every game.
Matches?
What do you mean rubbish? There's no rubbish matches where Liverpool are involved. I watch every single minute of every single game, Nick.
Do you?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Devotion.
Yes.
You're a bigger fan than me. I do not do that.
I just love it, man.
But the main reason is like they play a lot on Wednesday night, and I play 5-a-side on Wednesday night, and I've written to Liverpool about this.
You have?
About, you know, playing a little bit less on Wednesday night so I can see some of the midweek games, and so far no changes. Surely
you're going to be watching this Wednesday though.
No.
Oh mate, I couldn't honestly. You could. There's nothing you could pay me to. The things I've missed to watch Liverpool, you wouldn't believe, honestly. Anyway, 3-bet pot here with James, who will be absolutely hating life, by the way.
Yeah. But what is the worst thing you've ever missed to watch a Liverpool game? That's what the people want to know.
That one's easy. I would. So I think at the time, my ex-girlfriend was a bridesmaid, not a bridesmaid, a maid of honor at her cousin's wedding. But it was FA Cup semi-final day, so I told her to do one. I didn't go to that one. That didn't go down very well, but who cares?
Well, ex-girlfriend, the clues in the site.
We beat Man City in the semi-final. You think I care? I care, guys? Yeah, it was a huge game. We went 3-0 up in like 20 minutes. Yeah. Can you imagine if I'd missed that?
Naby Keita's best game.
Oh, I don't know. Naby Keita had a couple of good worldy games, but anyway.
He did, but I think he was particularly good in that. But yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that's not even like, what is it, your girlfriend's cousin?
Yeah. Look, Nick, don't get me wrong. I couldn't have cared any less. You know,
it's all political, isn't it? It's all political. Look, Ducasino hasn't actually bet 61 big blinds because Mr. Krabs only has 12, but they've put them in.
Yeah. And that's going to be a fold. It wasn't close either. The decision was like not difficult. I'd do it again. I would. In a heartbeat.
No regrets. I love it when people say that. No regrets. I do it all again. It's like, well, you wouldn't, would you? If you knew exactly how everything was going to turn out, you'd make some adjustments, for Christ's sake. You can't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the man I am today. Yeah, but if you made some changes, you'd be like loaded or something. I don't know.
True. I'd have bought Bitcoin 50 years ago.
Exactly.
All in from Ducasino. James is going to call here, and we're off to a very fair fight on this flop. But Duca knocks James off on the turn with a diamond dagger to the heart. And James is gone, trying to preserve themselves, but they couldn't get away.
As well, Nick. I mean,
it's massive.
Huge part of this final table. James was not short stacked at all.
Yeah.
3 short stacks, and they die in a very unfortunate way.
Yeah, that is a really, really rough one to take. Obviously, Ducasino, they're just rams it in with the ace jack. It's basically like, come on then, if you want to call, I'll play for the 3k bounty. If you don't want to call, fine, I'll take the blinds and the antes, etc. So, you know, a real rough one for James, obviously, who can't do anything and has kept themselves alive. And by the way, 30 big blinds when 2 other players have got 9 bigs, it's a disaster to lose there, but there's nothing you can do in that situation. And Duca knows that James really can't do anything there. Like, he has to have a really, really strong hand. Top pair, by the way, versus over pair on 10-5, 10-5-4. I don't know why we've got 10 on offsuit here. This seems unnecessary. Maybe we're just feeling it.
Aguero is playing so many hands that Ducasino is just like, I'll just play a hand with you because you can have any old crap.
Yeah, exactly. And this time,
it's probably fairly sound a lot of the time, but it's just you've run into jacks.
Yeah, they're probably feeling that in position they get to play fairly well against probably quite a loose, you know, wild range. I still think it's probably unnecessary. They also do have a newly formed chip lead, which they can use in position, especially to make life very uncomfortable for Aguero. Does go for value on river. This is a great bet. Blocks, and Duca only has to win about 20% of the time. Does decide to call, and Aguero is going to take down another pot and almost
Duca milked.
Yeah, milked dry. That's what you get when you flat 10-9 off, though, on the button. Sometimes it doesn't matter what your chip stack is or where you're in position. The reason we don't play 10-9 off is because it plays horribly post-flop. You never know even if you hit where you are.
And when you're playing a lot of hands like Aguero, is one of the benefits is that people will start to open up and play worse hands against you. And if you've got a good post-flop strategy, that can be quite a lucrative situation.
True. Yeah.
They immediately get some of it back with sevens. We've got winners, Nick. We've got winners. What did you ask me? What was your question again?
I asked you how many in this stupendous, wondrous season that Liverpool FC are having. How many big chances have they made in the Premier League? How many big chances? And I didn't tell you what that meant because I don't even know.
So I did some maths. I reckon big chances, I think I've heard this somewhere, is 0.3 XG-ish. Okay. So like a third of a goal. Mm-hmm. And I think we, from memory, put up about 2 to 2.5 XG a game. So that is about 6-ish big chances a game. We've played 28 games. So I added sprinkled a few on top. And I came up with the answer 192 big chances,
Wow, that's exactly how many big chances Liverpool created this season. Can you believe it? So the winners,
according to me.
yes,
Yeah,
are Poker Pool, who very well could be a Liverpool fan with that name,
it could be.
and
Are you
Foss,
Poker Pool?
and who got it exactly right, by the way, 192, and
Nice.
Fossil Yan, who said 191. So both of you have won tickets.
Well played, Fossil Yan. And Poker Pool, are you a Liverpool fan? The next question will not be about Liverpool, but it will reward you with 2 $109 tickets. We've got 3 more left to give away, and then 2 more after the end of the final table. So lots of prizes for you to win. Poker Pool is a Liverpool fan.
We love to see it, man. We do absolutely love to see that.
Thing.
You should have just said I'd have given it to you before. We didn't even have to do this game. I don't have that power. But you want to know exactly what the answer is? It's a kind of interesting one.
Yes, please.
So I think your flaw here and your reasoning, which was sound, even if our XG was 2.5 a game, which I don't believe that it is, they're not compromised equally of 0.3. Some of them are 0.8, which are penalties, and some of them are 0.1.
Obviously, bad process.
So
Nick.
yeah, that is a disappointing process from you. Although you were started in the right direction, you needed to shave off some either way for the 0.1s and the 0.9s. So
we do put up over 2 XG per game. What a team!
Yeah. So only 81 big chances.
81.
Yeah.
I was way off, but then of course I was also absolutely right. That's the magic of Magic Mondays.
It really is. You can be as way off as you like, but you're still right.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, you don't get anything for being close to the right answer. That's just the beauty of this game, really. By the way, Duca is doing that thing that we talked about earlier, Nick.
What's he doing?
Well, he's stepping out against what they presume to be a wide, well, it probably is, a wide range from Aguero.
Yeah, his timing is very unfortunate so far when he's doing this.
Yeah. Decided to take several stands with questionable holdings already since gaining that chip lead. It looks like, Nick, we may be relinquishing that chip lead over to Aguero as we flop middle set as Aguero Agnes here, and Duca has absolute breeze, only a backdoor of each way to work with, no hearts. Oh, I hate the check raise. I mean, I think with the jacks, with the heart, Nick, you have to let them do their thing. There's so many turn cards you can expect barrel from in those situations. I think you just shut the door on pretty much everything when you do that.
Yeah, I mean, you're sort of praying they put ace king or something else, like really toppy, but you can understand the Gary getting overexcited.
I mean, it's just, I think it's just such a slam dunk call because you just block so many of like the best hands that are going to be willing to stack off, like King Jack, and then you avoid anything being barreled because obviously you shut the door on all of Duca's bluffs. They're never going to just float some random rubbish and then bluff it off later.
Sorry, Nick, why are you people in chat bragging about getting a guess that was quite close to the Google answer? Because that's not the answer.
Yeah, that isn't the game. You have to get into Nick's head and guess what he thinks a big chance is.
You're just bragging about doing terribly.
Yeah. They haven't got the memo. After all this time as well, we could barely have been clearer over the years. That's not my problem, you Frost Mage. I don't make the rules. I just ask the questions.
Always about Liverpool. He comes on this show. He asks a Liverpool question.
If we weren't winning,
he goes home happy.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I like watching you try and figure it out. It's fun for me. It's allowed to be fun for me. This is allowed to happen.
Yeah, that's true. You got to get something out of this. Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to watch a film tonight, but now I'm here instead. So let me have this.
What film are you going to watch? I'll tell you what happens, and then you get the best of both worlds.
I've actually seen it before. I just enjoy it. Thor Ragnarok I was going to watch.
Oh, you know what happens?
I do, yeah. But
replay it in your head as you're commentating.
I could, but it's I enjoy looking at Chris Hemsworth.
Obviously,
yeah.
3 ways to the flop here. Mr. Krabs is all in.
Mr. Krabs is all in, and they're probably going to be out of here.
100% in. They are, aren't they?
Yeah, they're completely in.
Weird. It says 0 BBs.
Yeah, they are out of there. As you can see, the action closing on the turn. I honestly, Nick, since Duke has taken this chip lead, I have pretty much disagreed with everything they've done. I don't know why we're floating in a dry side pot with a 7 offsuit here. It doesn't make any sense to me.
this does happen sometimes to players. Do you think that as we see, Aguero is going to eliminate Mr. Krabs? Mr. Krabs is going to finish in 6th spot. Good for $1,590. Well played to them. They battled through 1,000 players to get here. Let's see what they were worth.
Ooh, still out there.
Another tiddler, yeah, still a 3K out there. Do you think it's possible that Ducasino has just got a lot of chips at the final table and, without being too analytical, got carried away?
I think there's a chance that, well, let's be clear. They have run into some things, the stronger end of particularly Aguero's ranges both times. They had Jax and obviously their top pair. Aggression usually is very good, so we can't be sure that it wouldn't just have worked on another day. And we've seen Aguero been opening a lot of hands. Duque may just be very, very good and knows, that this aggression is going to pay off more often than not, and is happy to take the risk. I think that the spots could have been potentially chosen better, but maybe they just think it's such a big edge that they can just do pretty much whatever they want and make chips. This occasion hasn't worked out, but it doesn't mean it's not good. Yeah,
that's true. They've run into a couple of big hands when they've done it against Aguero. So
yeah. I mean, if for example, if the 10-9 offsuit, we'd floated, they'd checked and we'd taken it away with 10 high, and then we'd 3-bet the ace-5 off and Aguero just folds ace-4 off or something, we're going to be calling their aggression genius. So these are things that, it's a very fine line sometimes.
Agree. Make sure you're in the free roll. The registration is open. You've got another 15, a bit longer than that to get involved. It's the 88 Poker TV special streaming free roll. $500 in there for you to fight for. If you do well, you'll tell us about it. You'll become a hero. The password is M03888, M03888, and we've got action in the blinds.
Yeah, and we're going to be all in the blinds here. Aguero definitely can't fold. There's 3K to be won. He's going to go for the snap call, and that's a pretty dangerous flop for the ace-king. Cleans it up a bit on the turn with the heart, taking a few outs away and doubling up in the form of the 6 of hearts, completely unneeded, but does fade that straight draw from Aguero and is going to get back up to 20 big blinds. Mukea was really hoping that someone got knocked off there, but not to be. Mukea now just kind of has to, I think they'd agree. That was kind of their last chance to ladder without having to risk themselves unless something ridiculous happens. So now I think they can make their peace with the fact that it's going to have to happen soon. May not be now.
May not be now.
Queen 10 off, not the best spot here. Surely Aguero's not thinking about doing something with 8-3 here.
Well, they don't like to fold pre-flop. That's my
no, that's true.
Top line analysis. They do eventually fold.
Yeah.
Mukea fat calls. Very interestingly, Mukea came into this final table with the most bounties. They've been short stacked the whole way, but a lot of bounties. They're going to need some help here.
Yeah, it's going to be a shove here from Duca. Just knock out anyone else that can claim that bounty, and hopefully Duca will hit in their mind. They will need a club, but they don't need one. And Queen 10 has to get there, and it won't. And now Duca has a chance to knock off another bounty. Is the 3K in there? The odds get better every single time, Nick. Is it now?
They do. Mukea leaves us in 5th, but what were they worth?
Oh, there it is.
Here it comes.
It's big. It's
Kabloom.
huge.
Chapow.
Massive. King high, by the way.
Twat.
Good for 3,000. And queens, if you didn't mind.
Mukea leaves us in 5th place. $2,135 for them. As I mentioned, they brought the most bounties, even though they were shorter stacked to the final table. 1,700 in bounties for them. So they make about $4,000 out of this $109 buy-in tournament. Very good day for them.
Wow, and Duque nearly just doubled that in one swift knockout, by the way. $3,000 in bounties. Just whipped up.
There was a $10,000 bounty in this event. It was won by Rud Makzud. Good screen name, Rud Makzud. They finished 13th in the tournament, but walked away with $10,000 in bounties. Wow.
Can't complain with that one.
You cannot. Probably did. They're probably still like,
they probably did,
beat in 13th. Ugh.
Yeah. God, I wish I'd win the whole tournament and won less than I've already won.
Yeah.
Four-handed now. Well, you'd be forgiven, Nick, for thinking, "Wow, this is going quickly. This is could be over any time." But it's not. It's probably not. As we know, these things can really drag.
Well, look at the stacks.
Yeah.
Look at the stacks. We've got over 200 big blinds in play between 4 players, over 50 big blinds per player on average. So there's plenty of play left here, depending on how we go.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say is that our players haven't been hanging around. I mean, I think Bieber's been involved in a few pots. I'd say the one person that's sort of just letting everything happen is Liquid Zero, who started the day as chip leader, but has been, fairly card dead, but also quite passive. Hasn't really gone for anything. Aguero, on the other hand, has taken every single spot under the sun.
Yeah, and some that weren't even theirs. They're taking spots when they fold.
Yeah. Interesting river. Does Aguero think that there's enough single heart hands in Liquid Zero's range where they could potentially just go check and win this hand? Or do they think they need to bluff? And they do think they need to bluff. A round pot from Aguero, who's correctly deduced that a 5 is no good on the 4 straight and the 3 flush, decides to go for bluff. And now Liquid Zero with top pair, just a bluff catcher after such a strong flop.
Yeah, I think you can even bet more here.
Yeah.
On the river, just because Liquid Zero can call this and still have a good stack left psychologically.
They can, but Aguero might be thinking, he does get called off on the river. Liquid Zero picks one off. Aguero is probably thinking that the smaller size might get a little bit more respect, because when you overbet, you're basically saying, I've got a flush. Whereas for the 2/3 pot, sort of 80% kind of pot size, you can more credibly represent the vast array of 7x that you have in the big blind. And I think that's what they were angling for there. Decided to go for that smaller size. Didn't work. And now Liquid Zero speaking up for the first time in a while.
Yeah, they've never actually been in trouble, Liquid Zero, but you're right. They've drifted a bit at this final table, and that gets them back on track. 3 big stacks, basically. These are very big stacks for the end of a No Limit Hold'em tournament. Yeah. And Bieber's our short stack.
Not in trouble is a good place to be in No Limit Hold'em final tables. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it is. If you can keep above that 40 big blind level in a No Limit Hold'em tournament, you are happy.
Aguero's got 10-5 off. And they're just really pounding on the fact that 10 big blind stack from Bieber is out there and not involved. So when they fold, Aguero knows that they'll be in position, so decides to open their entire range. I can imagine if it's 10-5 off, so it's probably got everything in it, and gets to play in position with that ICM pressure that Bieber is installing. ICM pressure doesn't do much when your opponent's got a full house, though. Let's see if Aguero continues the aggression after just getting pegged back. Does decide to go again, Nick. This is really strong stuff.
Relentlessly aggro, aren't they? They love it.
Aggro, if you like.
Aggro.
Liquid's not going anywhere. Definitely don't raise. Let's just call, see a river, deuce. Does Aguero find it? Do they think there's enough 6s, 7s, 4s that will fold the river if they go for another barrel? Is it just too Queen Xy?
I think also that they just had that hand where they got caught bluffing, didn't they? Literally 2 hands ago. And there's a bit of image repair needed, I think.
Yeah, there's image repair, but also that a lot can be said for the fact that, are you really going to do it again when you've just done it? The levels are there. They do exist.
Bluff. The double bluff.
Yeah.
AKA, get rid of your chips even faster. That one.
They'll be thinking exactly the same thing as you when they're in the situation facing the barrels. Obviously not they have a full house, but in a close situation, you've got to wonder whether Aguero is going to go for a bluff, and you have to wonder whether you can be bothered after you've just picked one up. So 3-bet here from Liquid Zero, who has now decided that this is the time. And they're probably right. Chip lead, reaccrued by Liquid Zero. Not insurmountable by any means, but Bieber is just hanging on there with dust. I mean, the cards are dust. The chip stack is not much more than dust. But playable nonetheless. And all sorts of aggression. I think this bodes well for a speedy final 3, or at least an interesting one, as every player seems intent on winning almost every pot. Liquid will definitely start with bet here after 6-3 off defended by Aguero, who could have let that one go. One of the worst hands you could possibly have, obviously. Usually when you have one of the worst hands you can possibly have, it doesn't make sense to not volunteer more chips.
They've got their VPIP up to 66. I don't know what their target is, but they're relentlessly pounding it upwards, which is
probably 69, I would imagine.
Yeah, of course it is.
It's got to be.
What sort of life is that's not the target?
Yeah, you surely got to be like working out how to hover around it once you get there. How you have to play more hands than you don't. It's quite tough. A lot of hands are really bad. Not this one though. Pair plus straight draw. Duke has got a good hand. Decided not to raise. Maybe just feels like now they're getting slightly cut adrift that they need to be a little bit more careful when Bieber's still out there with 8.7. Now just a minute to go until our break as the queen rolls off on the turn and Duca takes a solid lead in this hand, although Aguero can still hit some things and some stuff. That is not either of those. And now another value bet is in order, but doesn't go for it, Duke. I'm surprised. That 4 straight, probably not as scary as they gave it credit for. Especially blind on blind when not a lot of money's gone in and Aguero has checked the river. For good hand. We've got the classic, I'm all in, but I'm not, but I am, from Bieber, who will take it down. And I believe that should be our final pot before we take a break. And it is.
It is. We will take a break. 4 players left. One of them's going to win this 100K Mystery Bounty main event. We'll find out who after this break and give you away some more $109 tickets. See you in a sec.
Hey guys, I'm Ian Simpson and today I am super excited to announce that 80day Poker will now have a HUD or heads-up display built into our software. Whenever you're seated at the table, you'll be able to hover over your opponent's avatar or your own and get some vital statistics about them. You'll be able to see their VPIP, their PFR, their 3-bet and where they're from. So how do we put this information to work? Let's say you've opened and the button 3-bets. Well, you can hover over your opponent's avatar and see their 3-bet statistic. And here we can see that it's only 4. Now that's actually really small. You can go ahead and safely fold your marginal hand, knowing that they're only 3-betting a very narrow range and they likely have a much better hand than yours. In this scenario, our opponent has a PFR, short for pre-flop raise, of just 10%. That means they're playing a very narrow selection of hands. That means we have to be a little more cautious when dealing with them, as we are likely facing a very strong hand. Jumping over to this spot on the final table of a tournament, we can hover our mouse over our opponent's avatar and see their tournament winnings. We can see this player only has $114 worth of winnings, whereas this player has $140,000 worth of tournament winnings. Now, this doesn't tell the whole picture, but it is indicative of how much experience our opponents have. And finally, in this scenario, we can see our opponent has a VPIP, which stands for voluntarily put in pot, of 40%. Now, that number is really high. Our opponent is playing far too many hands. So when we raise pre-flop, they call and we get this flop, we can bluff a lot more liberally. That's because our opponent is going to have far too many weaker hands that are just going to have to automatically fold to our bet. As you can see, having access to this information can be a real game changer. It can be a big help when making the decisions you're going to have to make at the tables. Give it a try for yourself. Let me know what you think. Tell me which stack you think is the most helpful. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our great content. Thanks for watching, and good luck at the tables.
If you've ever struggled to calculate your equity or pot odds in a hand, you likely need to brush up on your poker math skills. That doesn't mean you need to be a genius or make complex calculations, but learning some fundamental calculations will give you an edge over your opponents. I'm Aaron Baroni, and in this video, I'm going to share 5 poker math principles you should know. Rule of 4 and 2. One of the most important poker math calculations is knowing how to figure out your equity in a hand. This is where the rule of 4 and 2 comes into play. All you need to do is calculate how many outs you have, then multiply your outs by 4 on the flop or 2 on the turn. The number you get is the approximate percentage of making your hand. So in this example, if we flop a flush draw, we would multiply our 9 outs by 4, giving us roughly 36% chance of making our hand. If the turn is a blank, our percentage drops to roughly 18%. This simple calculation alone can give you an edge by helping you avoid spots where you are a huge dog. Pot odds. Many players don't understand pot odds and fall into the trap of wanting to be right at too high of a frequency. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine the pot is 100 and your opponent bets 100. It costs you 100 to call, making the total pot 200. In this situation, you're getting 2-to-1 odds. That means you only need to be right 1 out of 3 times, or 33% of the time, to break even. But here's the exciting part. If you're right even half the time, you're not just breaking even, you're making profit. Understanding pot odds can significantly improve your decision making and profitability at the table. Understanding blockers. A blocker refers to having a card in your hand that makes it statistically less likely for your opponent to have a strong hand. For example, having a hand like pocket tens on Queen Jack 9-5-3 board would drastically reduce the number of combinations of straights our opponent could have, because we're holding 2 tens, and the only way they can make a straight is by holding one of the final 2 tens in the deck along with a king or an 8. Holding 1 10 would decrease your opponent's potential straights by 25%, and holding 2 would make that number 50%. With our opponent having 50% less straights, we then expect our full equity to go up considerably, and therefore could look to apply pressure. Be aware, our opponent could still have other strong hands, such as a set or 2 pair. Bankroll management. People ask me all the time about how many buy-ins are needed to be sure you won't need to reload. The exact answer to that question is fairly complex, not only because it relies on your edge, but because tournament poker can have so much variance, even over large samples. Let's look at an example of a 1,000-player tournament with a standard payout structure, $10 ABI, 10% ROI simulated for a 5,000 game sample. In that example, half the field would have been fine with a 2,000 bankroll or 200 buy-ins. But that means half the field was not. 15% needed a $5,000 bankroll or 500 buy-ins, 5% needed 7,700 bankroll, 770 buy-ins, and 1% needed 11,000 bankroll or 1,100 buy-ins. 22% of the field was down money despite having a 10% ROI. So when some people tell you 200 buy-ins is enough, it might be, but it might not. The safest way is to be properly rolled for the games you play. Continue to work on your game. As the greater your edge, the less likely you'll be subjected to the more volatile swings, better ensuring you won't have to redeposit. But if that does happen, you can take solace in the fact that many of the best players in the world have suffered the same fate. Calculating your win rate.
Welcome back to Magic Monday's coverage of the final table of the Mystery Bounty main event. This is a 100k event. These players have battled through nearly 1,000 players to be here. And we will see a champion crowned. Pretty deep stacked, four-handed. Hi to everyone in chat. Good to see you all. Nick Wealth and Nick Eastwood calling the action and giving away the tickets. We've got 3 $109 tickets left to give away, and the Poker Wheel of Justice, which gives you another 2. Lots of opportunities to win. Hopefully you're already in the free roll, which has just got a few minutes left for you to register. So if you're not already jumping, there's $500 in there for you to battle for on 888. Totally free, lots of fun. If you do well, you'll get a shout out. It's the 888 Poker TV special streaming free roll. The password is MO3888. Nick, we've got our small stack, our short stack Bieber is in again. Does Liquid Zero call this one?
Well, if the 3K was out there, I think probably, yeah. But without the 3K there, if it's all minimum bounties, probably not with the ladders as they are now. Ace Deuce is a pretty crappy hand. Doing very badly against a lot of things. Not against King, Queen of Hearts, but against a lot of things. Obviously, all those pairs, it's got only one overcard against. And there's a lot of pairs. People will be shoving them all. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of combinations that you're doing very badly against, so makes sense. And there'll be a lot of battling with crappy hands, and we have seen that these guys don't mind. I will note, though, we are one little handshake away from a deal here. Only Aguero has not got the handshake on at this moment in time.
Yeah, interesting. It's been that way for a few minutes. I think Aguero definitely thinks that they can steamroller their way to victory here. They've got a lot of confidence in their play. Let's put it that way. Yeah,
I definitely think they'll think they have an edge, as do most poker players, it seems. And they probably will be all in here. I wonder whether the deal hand will go on after they lose this one. If they do indeed lose it, as Bieber almost certainly going to find themselves all in here and in very, very good shape, as Aguero probably has to call this off for 11 and does, and only a 6 would, so it has to be running 6s now, and it isn't going to be that. And Bieber up to 23 and back in the game. Yeah,
second time they've got down to sort of 10-ish big blinds and found a double up.
Yeah.
Very much alive.
Oh, completely now. Just a double away from a very, very healthy stack. Completely in it now, though, and lots of playability as well. Four-handed. And Aguero still not shaking the hand. And there is something to be said for the fact that, you know, if your other 3 opponents all want to deal, maybe they're just not comfortable. Maybe you can just really get at them. If they all want to deal and they're all ready to say, no, that's it, we've played enough and this is too much money, maybe that just means you do have an edge anyway. I haven't really seen much evidence that Duque really cares. to be honest. Seems to have taken most spots that have been handed to them. Gets shoved on here, does Bieber, as Duke just wants to run the equity that they've got here, and they will pick up the pot.
Give me that 5 big blinds.
Yeah, give that to me.
Give that to me. I'll have that. Thank you, yoink.
Takes it. Lots of low cards being dealt here, but Aguero and Liquid Zero will be off to a flop for sure. And straight and flush draws for Aguero, but I don't believe there will be enough in Liquid Zero's locker to do anything about it.
Because they're just limping here.
Yeah. Little Limpski. 4-3. Pretty much as good as you could hope for the 4 high. A good 4 high. A solid 4 high.
These straight draws.
Not usually. But Bieber does have the 2 overs and will have to call. Pair of 3s now for Liquid Zero, who takes the lead. That Queen 9 looking pretty iffy at this point. Zero goes for a check this time. Does Bieber want to bet? I mean, this is a pretty rubbish hand, but you will have a lot of overcards to choose from to bluff here. So maybe they don't choose this one. 2 pair, but not a very happy 2 pair. Pretty much one of the worst 2 pair rivers. Definitely one of the worst 2 pair rivers. Either that or the 4 of diamonds. Losing to a lot of stuff. Not on this occasion. Don't think it's worth a value bet. The question is, after check, will Bieber bluff the Queen high? Probably has to. But you do have the problem of, on the flop, you are going to be floating a lot of these overcards. If you bluff them all, Nick, you will be bluffing too much. So maybe you just want to choose the one with clubs in.
Yeah, nice advice. Small pot makes its way over to Liquid Zero. And we'll stay 4-handed. Quick reminder, free roll's about to close. You've just got a couple of minutes to jump over there. Get on to 888. Completely free. The 888 Poker TV special streaming free roll. $500 in there for you to fight for. And we might get a long final table here because these are pretty deep stacks. And if we do, we will see you home to the money in the free roll. Give you a shout out if you make it. Lots of fun. Make sure you're playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Liquid Zero and Aguero have played a lot of pots against each other already.
Yeah, well, they're forced to. They don't really have a choice. 4-handed, it's going to happen a lot. Aguero obviously has been extremely active. Duke has been the main one to play back, but Liquid Zero now deciding that it's their time to build a stack. Interesting turn card here. Decides to use that 4 to blast off another barrel, and Aguero folds. Liquid Zero opens up a little gap. Lots of crap hands being dealt, Nick. We need some help.
Fireworks.
We need a little push from the dealer.
And we've got the players, haven't we? It's not like they're afraid to put the money in. Like, that's definitely not the problem.
Yeah, I mean, they get A6 off and they're practically giddy. So we just need something, just a little bit interesting for 2 people to get their teeth into. And I think we'll be off to the races. But so far as it is, another 8 or so minutes into this FT, and look at all these decidedly average to rubbish hands being dealt. Not really much you can do. And Aguero standing fast, no deal.
So Chip Taker has a question. Chip Taker wants to know, would you rather be seen as a tight player or seen as a loose aggressive player, a bluffy player? So which would you rather be seen as, Nick? And which are you seen as?
Interesting question, actually. I don't... I've sort of, because I've got highlights, people see me bluffing in like these really ridiculous spots where I probably shouldn't be trying to get people to fold really good hands. And they extrapolate that and think, oh, well, he bluffed that time, so he's probably bluffing all the time. I really don't bluff that much, but people don't like to fold to me because they see me do it that one time and they know I can do it. Whereas a lot of people, you never actually get to see what they ended up having. So what would I rather be? I think it depends, I would like people to fold to my bluffs every now and again, a bit more than they do. But at the same time, you get to go really thick for value. So there are swings and roundabouts to both.
I think it's better to be seen as a loose aggressive player, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because the biggest way you win chips in poker is by getting paid on your value hands. That is
true.
If you look at databases, that's where the big bets, obviously the big pots go. And it's just, poker's just harder if people think you have it all the time.
Certainly true.
So yeah, I'd rather have a loose aggressive image personally.
Yep, I can see that.
Like Aguero at this final table is just going to get paid on all the hands.
Yeah,
Not that anyone's making any hands at this final table, but if that happened,
I would call pocket jacks a hand. A7 offsuit, Aguero would probably call a hand as well. They've been opening everything else that looks like that.
Yeah. 3-bet incoming.
Yeah, 5.5 maybe.
Or maybe they'll tie it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there
Does
it
not
is.
disappoint.
And 0 is also not disappointed, as this is one of the better hands you can have, let alone four-handed. And they will be carving out what is commonly known as a cold 4-bet. And there it is.
The lesser spotted cold 4-bet.
The lesser spotted cold 4-bet. Never been bluffed before and won't be today either.
Aguero's VPIP makes the hallowed territory of the 69. Nice.
Yes, there it is. And now he's just got to hold it there, Nick. Can he hold it there?
Can you hold the 69? It's difficult. A lot of distractions.
It's really hard. Yeah, there is so much going on. And can he hold it there? It needs to be aggressive, but not too much.
Yeah, currently lapping it up, but we'll see if he keeps that consistency.
Yeah. What you said. Pot 4 here for Duca, who could float with the clean setouts against a player that they know was probably oversee betting this. But here we go again. I mean, I think as Aguero now, you kind of have to calm down because, you know, I know your VPIP 69, but at the same time, people seem to have figured you out a little bit. You know, everyone's playing back. You never have anything. You know?
That is a bit of a problem.
Sometime you're going to have to say, okay, maybe next time I should probably have something.
At some point, you've got to show someone a hand. That is definitely true.
Genuinely yet to. I think he's won every pot with apart from the one where he check raised with the set. I guess they were hoping their aggressive image was going to help them out, but it didn't. Okay, well, I mean, these hands are just not good enough for people to get it in. So there will be small battle after small battle, and eventually that will culminate in someone having a certain amount of chips to get in, and we shall see. We shall see who ends up with what when the guillotine finally falls on somebody's head. But it is not this day, as the two more absolutely horrendous hands make their way to the turn. Top pair now, though, for Aguero, who will probably bet. And Duca has 8 high with no suits that interact with the board and has made a good decision and folded. Well, here comes Aguero, his favourite thing in the world, Nick, an ace offsuit ace.
Ace offsuit, yeah, basically the nuts. They have been chipped down a bit here, Aguero. There wasn't so long ago they were at the sort of 50, 60 big blind mark, but it's hard when you're not winning any pots because you don't have anything, isn't it?
Yeah, they're playing almost every hand, 69% of them to be exact, and never have anything. And so Liquid Zero is
this is how bad their image is. Wow.
You never have anything. Wow. I don't care what my cards are. I can have 2 napkins. You're just not going to be able to defend this enough when you're opening that many hands. And remember,
that's such an interesting hand, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just like you don't have anything.
It's a product of the way that Aguero has played this final table.
Yeah, everybody
knows that you can't possibly have all these hands. You cannot possibly. It's just not mathematically realistic that you have a hand as often as Aguero is claiming to have one. Therefore, profitable to just play back with anything. Which is why I strongly recommend having something. Now, Aguero might think that this is something, but it's not as good as the something that Duca has. Now, will there be fireworks? As Liquid Zero has a very playable Queen 10 suited, and Bieber's got Queen 9. He could also come along. We could have gone 4-way to this. As it is, we'll go 3-way. With 3 very fair hands.
Wait. Let's see if Aguero just calls.
No, not with Bieber on 9.7. That would be a big punt. Although this might look like aces to Aguero, by the way, because he's... Oh, and it will now top set, and we could be in trouble.
Desperately needed this. I mean, they're really one-way traffic in their stack. But now, this is
Yeah.
huge.
I'd have liked to have seen Donk on the flop from the big blind Aguero, and I think they'll bet now. They can't risk another spade.
Especially with their image, you'd think they'd have that going on a bit.
If you are going to lose every hand and bet every time you have nothing, also a good idea when you do have something to bet as well.
Yeah.
I wonder if Duca folds this turn. I mean, it seems insane, but with someone behind you, you could maybe consider it. The river bricks off nicely for Aguero. Do they go for it all? This river changes nothing. What I would love to see, even though this occasion it would be wrong, is check, because there are so many single spade hands in Duca's range here that would bluff the river, would be forced into bluffing the river. And it's very hard for somebody to have a value hand here, to have the restraint to check it on the river. Not going to happen this time either. And now I think Duca can get away from this one, although, Nick, Aguero never has anything.
Well, this is where you want that loose aggressive image where, logically, it's not often a bluff, but if you're just seen as a player that will just bang away, you can get called in these spots.
I mean, Aguero has lost every single hand for about an hour for this very moment. To get called in this spot lighter than they probably should do. Duca's got aces, but Aguero in the big blind can have a multitude of sets and two pairs in this spot, and flushes, don't forget. Every single suited spade will call, other than the very strong ones.
Yeah, they can have a lot of one pair.
Oh, they've gone for the call.
Yeah, I think I quite like the call.
Yeah, it's a very reasonable call. And look, it just goes to show, Nick, we know exactly what we're talking about. We told Aguero to probably have something next time they put chips in the pot. And look what happened.
Well, we told Chip Taker it's better to have a loose, aggressive image, and that's why. Because you get called in those spots which are like, I've only got a bluff catcher.
Yeah.
When you're staring against a player who's been bluffing solidly for an hour and a half, you call with your bluff catchers.
Yeah, and also you have to think in Duca's shoes, like, if I call against this guy, but also if I call here and I'm right, I'm so far ahead. I can see the trophy. Call. Oh, kind of thing,
Yeah.
It's so easy to get ahead of yourself.
I mean, he can so often have like one pair with a spade or something like that, or some other trash that he's just decided to try and get a better hand to fold with.
Aguero is back to the ace-4 offsuits, by the way. His favourite hand, ace-4 off.
7 out of 10 hands he plays.
Yeah.
Wins them all. No, wait.
It was 6.9. Sadly, it isn't anymore because they're just so aggressive. They finally got rewarded. Now they've got a chance to take this one down, as pretty much now we're carved into two groups. Those that have 60 big blinds and those that do not. And Duca and Bieber do not. But Duca is not going to stand on ceremony. They're going to find a way back into this or they're going to die. That is the plan. And Bieber has noticed this and is just going to hide in the corner for a moment to see if Duca does it off and allows a ladder. What is that ladder, Nick? I know you're the ladder man.
The ladder man. Well, we've got $2,885 locked up. And the next prize is about $1,000 more. So about $1,000 ladder. There's about so 2,800 for fourth, 7,300 for first.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Like if you say to somebody, you could do nothing for a little bit and make another $1,000. They're probably going to do nothing for a little bit. So having said that, Bieber is all in and Liquid Zero is going to call, and we're going to be off to one here, and it's a fairly fair fight, about a 60-40 in Bieber's favour here with the ace jack.
Bieber's won two of these. Let's see if they can win a third.
Ooh, tough
50,
one.
50. No, tough now.
Needs to be a heart or it's going to be over for Bieber, and it is over. It's even over. As Liquid Zero takes one down with the King Queen. We're three-handed at last. It could have happened half an hour ago, but it has happened now. As Bieber, great run.
Dodged bullets, but have a very good short stack run. $200 they were worth. That goes to Liquid Zero. Stack Bieber even over, wins $2,885. A very good tournament for them. These three have got 3,900 locked up.
Yeah. And they're playing for more. No bounties left in play, as we know. Well, there are bounties, but not ones that are significantly going to change the strategy of the players. So effectively no bounties. They'll be playing as if they don't exist, I would imagine. Interesting turn card as the double gutter to the jack versus top pair, and the snap shove. Top pair for Aguero. Does he call this off? I mean, this is super close. There's lots of draws available that Duca could have. You know, anything like a 6x or 10x of diamonds or spades. Yeah, he does fold.
Surprising.
Yeah, because when you're behind there, you are desperately behind. And when you're ahead, you're not that far ahead.
Sure. Just, you know, I just thought he'd take the chance to knock out his friend, Ducasino.
Picking up the kings and big little in the big blind, Nick. You know what's coming. I know what's coming.
It never doesn't work.
It happens every single time.
It never doesn't work.
No, every time, man. Look, Nick, I think the regs are overdoing the big little. What do you think?
I mean, three-handed versus a button open, I think it seems fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, they're definitely overdoing it.
Just call one time. Let them do the thing. Aguero just playing off the fact that they're super, super aggressive. I mean, Liquid Zero surely doesn't just bang this in or something, do they? They're just saving face, yeah. Chip lead Aguero.
Yeah, Aguero, by far the most entertaining player to watch because they're always in action.
Yeah.
And it's working.
Yeah. They have had to eventually have some good hands, but as we know, even the players that are playing every hand are allowed to have good hands from time to time. It is permitted. We allow it here.
Fair.
A bit of action going on here as Aguero chooses the Jack 3 off to isolate because it's so rubbish that you don't care if you get limp raised on. But I tell you what isn't rubbish. Jack 7 as they take a commanding lead. But I mean, I don't think you actually can miss a board harder than this as Liquid Zero, and they do have to let it go. Aguero now, I believe, is going to continue to do exactly what got them here, and that is play almost every single hand. The VPIP is only going up. Duca managing to hang on here with a 25% VPIP. That's going to have to go up if they're going to have any chance here. And this board could be juicy. Obviously, the only thing really stopping a decent chunk of money going in here is the fact that Duca exists. Just by existing, both of these players have to do less than they would like to do.
Proves that Duca exists.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that this is just going to go check call pretty much every single time is just because Duca is sat there with 16 bigs. And if this was heads up, I think you'd see a slightly different line potentially. As it is, Aguero is going to bet again all the time. And Liquid Zero, probably can't continue here. Excuse me. It's just out of position. You can't really do anything. Like, if you're going to do something, almost raising is better because, like, you can't really just call and then just check if you don't hit. You're going to lose the pot every single time. So,
and as you've mentioned, there's disincentive to play these kind of marginal spots with the short stack. Or shorter stack. I
mean, I don't think Aguero really cares what they've been dealt at this point. I think they're just saying, look, I'm just better than you guys, and have at it if you fancy having a go.
My steamroller is real. Feel my wrath.
I wouldn't be surprised to see limp 3-bet here though, and I think that this is the exact kind of play that you're going to have to find a lot against this player, because if you don't, they're going to run you over. And Liquid Zero, to their credit, does find one, keeps himself afloat around that 60 big blind mark, close to Aguero. Aguero, super unpredictable, is going to love this flop and probably going to start putting loads of money in here. Won't mind getting this one in. Probably won't be afforded the opportunity as Duque does have 6 high. Not even a good 6 high. 6-5 would be a good 6 high. This is a rubbish 6 high. Developments, though, as the double gut shots picked up on the turn for Duque. And still just 10 high now for Aguero, who has that open end straight. Does fold it, though, in the turn. Timely.
Yeah. Aguero just proving very hard for these two to play against.
Yeah. Just, I mean, it is very hard to play. Like, as often as Aguero doesn't have anything, you don't have anything either. It's three-handed poker. It's very, very difficult to be dealt good cards three-handed. Aguero's just playing the percentages here. I'm willing to play rubbish hands. Are you guys willing to play rubbish hands? If you're not, I'm going to cut you adrift. Simple as that. And Liquid Zero affording themselves a few more flops, probably, with the fact that now Aguero knows that Liquid Zero is doing some limp 3 betting. So Aguero can't just make it 3.5 times the big blind with every single hand they're dealt, as they would probably like to do. Because they do need to realize their equity. If your opponent never limp 3 bets, you can just keep putting more money in position with any hand and, probably playing optimally. You're going to be performing a lot better than the small blind will on average. And again, Aguero's just going to relentlessly attack. But if your opponent starts limp 3 betting, then you can't just put in whatever money you want, because sometimes you're going to lose that to limp 3 bet, right? So definitely need to be mixing them in. Otherwise, you're going to let someone like Aguero just run you over. Which is kind of happening anyway. Although this hand is quite good. Heard things about it. We'll check it back one time. Is he going to find it? Liquid Zero here. With the aces, 12 big blinds effective. Probably going to go for the raise, and does. And now that should be the end of Duca. So much poker talk tonight. Is it too much?
It's a lot of poker talk. I mean, you're just like a wind up and go machine. So I'm just listening.
I mean, sorry, guys. I just thought this was my job tonight. We can talk about something else. Would you like to talk about something else?
I always want to talk about something else.
Okay.
David Tuckman knows.
Well, give me a topic, and I'll try to.
You'll wax lyrical.
Yeah, it depends what it is. If it's Ryan Gravenberg, yes. Oh, top pair versus top pair. I'm going back to poker, Nick. You can't stop me.
I'll let you talk about this one.
We haven't had top pair versus top pair in a while. Aguero will be extremely happy with this flop, because they know that they've been extremely aggressive, and they've just been like, wait till I get top pair. Wait till I have something that, is good. Liquid Zero, though, does have something even better. This spade, though, will slow things down. I don't see Aguero betting this turn again. It's so thin for value, even though it is blind on blind. Liquid Zero, very good card for them as they pick up a flush draw as well. And the river does brick off. Now it's just a matter of whether Liquid Zero goes for the value bet, which Aguero will probably call, or whether Liquid Zero checks and Aguero has a tough spot between check back and value bet himself. Does go for blog. This will be snapped off, and we'll be on to the next hand. Aguero.
No snap off.
This isn't close. Oh, they don't think about raising, are they? Surely not. I mean, if they fold this, I will be unbelievably impressed. But surely Liquid Zero could just have a 10 here. I don't know. They're really thinking about this.
Also, it's a small bet as well. I mean,
it's tiny.
You've got a top pair and you need to be good, whatever that is.
A fifth of the time.
5 to 1, yeah.
Wow, this would be unbelievably impressive. No, they can't. It's just it's too ridiculous to fold this.
Yeah, it would be an amazing fold from what we can see, but I don't think it would be a good fold.
I mean, for all we know, they were thinking about raising. Honestly, that's probably more likely.
Yeah, that is more likely. Let's just see what happens with this King Jack, because I'm on the verge of giving away a ticket, Nick.
You're on the verge. Well, here we go. This is what's happening.
We could be
Has
heads
to
up.
be a king. King, or we're heads up here. Duca could be out of here, and is, as the jacks for Liquid Zero picks him off. Ducazinho is over, and it's heads up. 70 versus 54 big blinds. There's a lot of play left in this, Nick. This is not over by any stretch of the imagination. We are going heads up, though, and we lose Duca in third place for
$3,925. They battled with the short stack for a long time. Well done to them. Always remember, these players have had to get through 1,000 opponents to entertain you tonight. So well done, Ducazinho. These two are now playing heads up for about $2,000 and the 2 remaining bounties. Of course, hope things are going well for you in the free roll. If you are in, let us know if you're in. I think you must be a little bit off the money still. Tell us what we're up to in the free roll and if you're in. We've got 3 $109 tickets left. And in a second, we're going to give one of them away. Just want to see who's in the free roll and say hello to chat, who have been watching this pretty deep stack final table, and we're still deep stacked. 71 big blinds plays 50 big blinds. These two have already battled a lot, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Randy Integrity. What is Randy Integrity? When you're you're horny, but you always mean it. Is that what
no,
that is?
it's a South Park reference.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So that makes more sense. Sleepy the Old is in. April's in. That Geek is in. Zeb's out first hand. That's bad tactics, Zeb. Just write that down. Don't go out first hand. Pavlo's in, Skorka's in, Marguinis, who's won the free roll before, is in. Berber's in. Quantum Criminal is in. So is Dream Race and Antibala. Good luck to everyone in the free roll. How far away are we from the money? What's the situation in that tournament?
Straight flush draw, by the way.
You don't get any points for that.
No points for that, but you do get the opportunity to put money in with 6i.
Yeah, it's a winner. 589 left, 420 in the money. Will you do me a favor, chat, and tell me when you hit the money? And then I will celebrate you like I should, in the words of Fat Boy Chaffinch. Tell me when you hit the money, which is not too long away. In the meantime, let's give away tickets. We haven't done that for ages.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. It's a $109 ticket. It's a huge ticket, and it couldn't be easier to win because it's a keyword giveaway. You just have to type in the keyword once it's revealed to you. If you are watching on YouTube and you want to play and have a chance to win, you have to pop over to our Twitch channel, 88 Poker TV, because it's software-based. It's only on Twitch. That's all you have to do. Lime, is the keyword ready? Just checking.
It is very easy to enter, we should say. It's quite hard to win, actually. Extremely easy to enter.
Yeah, I mean, when you win, it feels easy to win, but
yeah, it does.
It's true that it's hard. I accept that. The keyword is ready. The keyword, in honor of our special guest co-host Nick Eastwood and his One Love. Now, Lime has picked this word, and she's from Canada, Nick. So I do apologise.
Is it Liverpool? My
No,
One Love.
the keyword is soccer. Soccer.
Oh, what the hell!
I think she's trying to wind you up. Soccer. 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 Is your key to victory.
I was going to watch Thor Ragnarok, and now I've got to watch 200 people put soccer in the chat.
Exactly.
Ugh.
That's not Thor Ragnarok, is it?
Absolutely bloody not, Nick.
Would you describe yourself as a big Marvel fan, a casual Marvel fan, or just someone that likes Thor Ragnarok?
No, I'm a fan of all the Marvel. I believe that they are.
But when does that stop? Because obviously you're not still a fan because you haven't had a lobotomy. So when did you stop being a Marvel fan?
No, I haven't stopped. I really enjoy it, but I enjoy it.
So
I enjoy it.
That was good.
Yeah, no, I do. I'm very, very good at enjoying rubbish films. I will say that's one of my best traits. I love a rubbish film.
Your qualities.
Yeah. But mostly I love like rubbish action. So like I'm really good at rubbish action.
Okay.
One of my favorite films is Olympus Has Fallen with Gerard Butler. I absolutely love it. And I know it's crap, but I just really like it. Do you know what I mean? It's just like my safe place.
Uh-huh. Shameless.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's just a great time.
I haven't seen it. I didn't know it existed till this moment.
Oh, it's fantastic. Disclaimer, it's pretty shit. But it's really, really good. You know, it's such an enjoyable... You don't have to know anything about anything. You just sit there and vegetate and watch it. It's wonderful.
Nice. He's a scholar and a sophisticate. It's Nick Eastwood, everybody. Type in soccer. Do it. Do it now if you haven't already.
Don't do it, guys.
If you watch it on YouTube, you need to come to our Twitch channel. Type soccer, you've got a chance to win a $109 ticket. That chance is going to be realised quite soon.
Yeah, we didn't do this in time. We didn't know that these players were going to be dealt absolute garbage for 10 minutes straight. It's just timed out that way. It's just happened to be that's what happened. So we had lots of time to talk to you about my favourite crap films. But they both have had rubbish hands, let me tell you. I've been paying attention just in case something happens, but nothing has happened, guys. Nothing. And nothing continues to happen.
Nothing is happening, but something big is happening. And that big thing that's happening is somebody's winning a $109 ticket.
Go on then.
We're ready. We're rolling it. Who is it? Who is the magical soccerist? Magical soccerist is Kayseri. Kayseri 1983. Regular watcher of the show. Well done to you. You have won a $109 ticket for Play on 888. Turn it into hundreds or thousands, or even tens of thousands. We wish you luck with it. If your name is not Kayseri, you didn't win, but that doesn't mean you can't win. We've got 2 more $109 tickets left to give away during this final table, and we're heads up. So it can't be that long. Although they've got all the chips and none of the cards, Nick. So
tough. Let's see. Both have a 7. It's about as good as we've done so far. Both players have a set. We've got to go back to talking about poker now, guys. You know, we're going to have to hope that one of these players has a hand at some point. Otherwise, we will be here all night. And we're going to be here as long as it takes to finish this heads-up match. Unless that coincides with the Champions League on Wednesday night, then I will not be here.
Wednesday night, that's where you're drawing a line, is it?
Nick will be playing football. I'll be watching the game, and someone else can do it.
Yeah. To be clear, if it was the second leg, I wouldn't play football. I would watch it.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
I would just never miss one. That's just a rule.
First leg's not enough for me to miss my... The problem is, if you miss football, when you go 2 weeks later, you're just way worse. So I don't like missing it.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I'm actually just rubbish and beyond repair, so I might as well just kick it in and watch the game, you know?
Difference. I see.
Yeah.
Fabregas, you missed the questions about Liverpool. You did. But don't worry, I got the answer really badly wrong, so your knowledge of Liverpool wouldn't have helped you.
I mean, I thought you may get it wrong, but not for the reason you did get it wrong. You got it wrong because you did some poor maths once you were there.
Yes.
I reckon if you'd followed the correct thought line once you got there, you'd have been fine. You'd have gotten pretty close, but you just went off a tangent. You must be tired or something.
Oh. Maybe I just didn't fully apply myself.
Yeah, it could be that. But there's a little bit of something going on here. Top pair for Liquid Zero. I think this is our first top pair of the day.
Top pair, yeah, it's a banger.
Yeah. And Aguero does have a gut shot, and we know that they like to do things.
If we're going to bet one big blind with top pair, we're going to be here until the Champions League.
Yeah, well, Aguero's got Jack high and wants to bet more. So we are going to turn here.
Aguero won't let us down.
No, would never. I would say that I do expect on... See, if this turn had been something like a 4, I think Aguero would have just absolutely slammed it. But as it is, I think they may just begin shutting down now. I wouldn't mind seeing them blast this card because they do remove a lot of... Yeah, I mean, they're going to keep betting. It's a bit of a weird size. Very strange. Doesn't seem to apply pressure from the type of hands that Liquid Zero's going to have.
That's one of those bets where it's like, well, what is that designed to do?
Yeah, I mean, if they had potted, I'd be well on board.
Yeah.
It's almost like a 3.8. It doesn't really... It's just there. It doesn't really achieve things. It's not going to get folds from better.
It is not.
So what do they do now? Is it designed to keep things in on the turn and then bluff them out of the river? No, it isn't. So what was it, Nick?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm slightly questioning Liquid Zero checking so quickly on the river there. I'm not saying that they should value bet, but that's a big hand heads up.
Yeah, I think once you get check raised on the flop and they bet the turn,
you're less likely to. But
yeah, you're expecting to see a lot of like polar hands there. Like either they do have like Jack high that's never going to call a bet anyway, like that blacked into a third pair, or or they have a really good hand that's trapping you and you just really don't want to get trapped and you're doing quite well and Liquid Zero is happy to tap the table and take the pot down and have a 2-1 chip lead. Something along those lines happened there, Nick.
That is what happened.
Maybe nothing at all. I made it up. But that's my job tonight, to make things up.
Making things up about the pokers.
Yeah, and hope everyone just goes, oh yeah, that sounds about right, because I say it with confidence.
What is your current poker pursuit? Do you have a challenge running? Do you have a certain kind of game you're playing? What are you doing at the moment?
I did a challenge that took me 3 years, so I said never again. I think that never again is decisive. What I'm doing right now is just attempting to win money.
Okay, interesting.
Mixed results has to be said.
Mixed results in that adventure, sure.
Yeah, I would love to have another deep run in a live tournament. We're going to Glasgow in a couple of weeks.
Shout out our first visit to Glasgow, I believe.
Which I'm very, very, very excited about. And if I don't do well in the tournament, I'll play some cash games anyway. I heard they're very good there. And I'm excited to see a city I've not seen before. What's going on here? Everyone's clicking buttons, Nick. Buttons are being pressed.
More button clicky. It's got a bit more button clicking. Aguero's down to 35 bigs now. Yes, do join us in Glasgow if you can. I'm sure the satellite's running at the moment, but that is our next live stop. Nick Eastwood will be there, I've heard.
I will be there. I'm at everything. There's nothing that we do that I'm not at. I'm like a blunt Swiss Army knife. I can do pretty much anything, but just not very well. Jack of all trades, master of none. That's why I get drafted into these at the last minute to just
nothing wrong with that.
Make it look like we know what we're doing.
If you can do many things, you'll always be useful.
Exactly. I try to remain useful. It's good. You know, it's important to be useful.
Remain useful.
Yes. That is my number one. That is literally remain useful. You say you joke, but it's it just is the number one strategy.
I mean, if you're too busy to master something, you might as well.
Yeah.
Pedro says, what position do I play? I play 5-a-side, Pedro. I gave up 11-a-side a while back. I used to play right midfield or right wing, one of those two. But now I'd play on the other side because now it's all inverted, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
I used to play a centre attacking mid. I was I was too small to battle anyone. I couldn't. I could pass the ball. I had decent vision.
You're Harvey Elliott.
Yeah. But if someone was tackling me, they could have it. Do you know what I mean? That was enough.
I had no resilience or toughness.
I was really good at just if we were playing in the park and just shooting at the keeper, I was in my element. But if we're in a match and I've got someone's pressing me and I've got not a lot of time on the ball, I'm going to poo myself. Do you know what I mean?
It's impressive.
Yeah.
These hands are not impressive.
Oh no, I couldn't possibly. He's way too good and way too pretty to be compared to me.
Yeah, he's a handsome boy, isn't he? Well done him.
I saw an unbelievable meme featuring him. Just sensational. Have you seen Friends?
Friends, the show?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you well versed in Friends?
Pretty much.
Yeah, so you know the scene where with the cousin, I can't remember what her name is, but the cousin that
Denise
Ross...
Richards.
Yeah. So there's a picture of him taking his headband out at the end of the game.
Oh really?
and it's just Ross looking at it's the music from the same scene, and I'll have to send it to you because I was in stitches.
Yeah, it was funny.
Absolutely sensational because it's so perfect because he's running his hand through his hair and swishing it about, it's so good, man. I have to say it's really good.
That's excellent.
April's like, you watching that again? I'm like, yes. Yeah. Mainly just now. It really is.
Did we hit the money in the free roll and no one told me, by the way? Because
there's no way that happened, Nick, because you told them specifically.
You must be very close because it was a good 15, 20 minutes ago. You were sort of a couple of hundred away. What's the free rolls? So just outside the money. Okay. Good luck those that are.
Yeah, Randy's got integrity.
In.
420 cash.
Okay, so we've got 14 players left to go. Tell us when we hit. We need to celebrate you if you make the money in the free roll. The whole point about the free roll is not how much money you win, but A, how much fun you have, and B, how many chumps you beat.
That's important. It's all about the bragging rights.
Exactly.
And we'll say your name if you do well, which may mean nothing to you.
Because it might be a name you just, face planted the keyboard when they ask for a Twitch login, but still, you still get a shout out.
Mm-hmm. Fair play to these players who are doing their best with not a lot. I wouldn't quite say it's in Murciano territory, levels of legend, but they are doing their best with what they've been given.
Uh-huh.
I'll never forget that, Nick.
No, it's quite painful. Painful. That's the wrong word. Sorry. It's quite. I don't know what was the right word. It was very high quality, but also, I don't know. It was a battle, wasn't it? It was a massive battle in Madrid.
It was a huge heads up battle. I think it went for 5 hours, didn't it? I have to say, if it wasn't for Murciano, I think I would have. I think it would have been done a lot sooner if it was someone else. But I've never been so entertained at 4 o'clock in the morning watching poker in my life. I will tell you that.
It was very entertaining. Ian Simpson eventually being the Spanish player and banking his first stated hit live main event title. We're in the money in the free roll. Well done, everyone. Who made it?
That was quick.
Tell me. Quantum Criminal is in. Randy Tegrity, Sleepy the Old, well done to you three. Anyone else make it? Congratulations on your free roll cash. You achieved the mission. Now your second mission is to win the whole thing and become a god. Mark Guinness made it. Well done on cashing, Mark Guinness. Anyone else cash? Not huge numbers this week, so well done on surviving.
I heard David wasn't coming.
They're like,
my milkshake doesn't really bring all the boys to the yard, as it were.
Bring the cashes to the yard. That's what you're saying. Whatever that means.
No idea what that means.
Should make
Aguero, king 3 off, one of the better hands they've been dealt, so they do decide to go for it. And we are 50 big blinds effective. A battle
April made
back.
it. April cashed, Nick. Drinks
Just about.
Drinks on your partner.
How much money is that? Do we know? What's the min cash in the free roll?
It's a share of $500, so probably something pretty tasty. Squawker made it.
What can we afford?
Bougie busted, unfortunately.
50 cents. Wow. Can you buy anything with that anymore?
50 cents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Probably like a potato.
Yeah, you could probably buy carrots or several carrots.
Yeah, which you could make something tasty with. We've got 2 hands here, Nick.
Pair versus
finally, so if
pair.
you wait long enough, you'll get a hand.
I'm practically leapt out my chair for this one as Aguero goes for C-bet on Jack 10-4 and Liquid Zero's got a pair of 10s. Certainly won't be going anywhere just yet. No hearts in anyone's hand as we do go to turn. The turn is not clean enough for me, Nick. This isn't damaging enough. I was hoping for like a deuce of spades, to really get everyone believing they had the best hand. Now we might see check, and that's unacceptable. What will we see from Aguero here? They certainly could consider value betting. We are heads up, remember, top pair. Generally speaking, wow, that's a massive bet. That is a huge bet, and I think it's probably slightly too big because I'm not actually sure. I mean, let's use this hand as an example. If Liquid Zero is folding a 10, what are we getting value from as the Queen Jack here? I'm not sure there's that many things left. So I think more prudent would have been a slightly less polar bet. Maybe we want to bet something in the region of like 2/3 pot, maybe half pot, rather than the overbet. The overbet we could reserve for more polar strategies. Basically, what I'm saying is they've wasted our cooler in inverted commas.
They've done nothing with it.
Yeah.
We've given them the world and they've not
Wasted it.
Wasted.
Aguero here isn't going to get this C-bet through. No, it's going to be check raise.
Spills Everything points out that you can buy a 50-cent blast ticket.
That's actually crucial. But do I get
quite a good investment?
I was hoping for her to buy me something though. Oh, here we go. Little heart on the turn as Liquid Zero makes a flush and King of Hearts with a gut shot and overcard for Aguero. 13 big blinds in there, and you have to imagine that we're going to be wagering at least some money. That seems on the smaller side, but understandable for the texture of the board. As Liquid Zero goes for some more value, the river is a deuce, so king high for Aguero, and you have to imagine that Liquid Zero is going to be betting again here. Although I can see some significant merit, much like we spoke about earlier. Nobody finds checks here, and a lot of the time when you're in this situation, in position player has a lot of just single heart hands that can't really show down very well, that do a good job of blocking your hands, especially in a situation where it's very uncommon for people to find checks to protect their range. I really think that more people bring back checking in this spot. Did it ever happen? I don't think it did. I think it's good though.
Bring back checking. Well, Liquid Zero is going to pick up a nice pot and establish a bit more of a chip lead. But I mean, we're just not playing big pots in the setup match. There aren't, one of the ways that you can quickly tell whether you're likely to get a long heads up match or not is whether there's 3 betting pre-flop.
Yeah.
Like light, because obviously if someone gets 10s or whatever, fine. But that just hasn't been happening. We've been playing small pots on the flop relative to the stacks, and that's why we haven't really made any progress.
Exactly. We are in Liquid Zero's favour now, though. They battled a small advantage. And a straighten out for Liquid Zero is going to extend that advantage just a little bit further. One way or another. Now, Aguero potentially could find a bluff raise here. I mean, the 4 you'd have to imagine is not doing that great against the value betting range, but they do decide to call, which makes sense. And another one over to Liquid Zero, who now will be sniffing victory and hoping for one of those hands that nobody can get away from just to finish this one off. They built the advantage. Now they want to leverage it with a little flip or a cooler of some sort.
A a cheeky 9 ace 9 deuce flop or something.
Yeah, that's a very good flop for them, but not going to cut it for Aguero. But what it will mean is that Liquid Zero chips away again at Aguero's stack, and it looks like now probably like 3 or 4 pots in a row they've won, and you can tell it makes a big difference. It's finally letting one go. Not having a question. You will give it a question when we so dictate it necessary, or Nick will anyway. I'm actually not that important.
Yeah, we do still have, obviously it is we do have a little advantage in knowing how long these things go. We do still have 2 $109 tickets to give away. And when this heads up battle is over, we'll also have the Poker Wheel of Justice. So we're going to give away 4 $109 tickets in the next not too long period of time.
Yep.
So stick around. This is an interesting flop. Less interesting that it just goes check, check. I mean, what is wrong? These guys were so much more aggressive when it was four-handed. Yeah,
and when it's been, it's tough because they've had real nothing. But I would have said to you when we were heads up, this probably would have been a lot more like aggressive, even if they do have nothing. But these things can happen. Remember, they've both played a lot with each other and both know that the other's been up to no good, especially Aguero. So, maybe they don't want to just keep blasting off at every spot because they don't think they're going to get as many folds as they would normally. So it's an interesting one. It seems like both of them are waiting for that one big one, though. Eight on the river. Really bad card for Aguero, who picks up a strong top pair, but Liquid Zero's got the straight and is going to go for the small value bet, which is going to obviously get snap called. Wouldn't have minded seeing a slightly bigger one there, but they were trying to get called extremely light by any sort of pair that Aguero might have had. Extends the lead even further, Nick. And dare I say, we could be reaching some sort of conclusion. Depends. We need to see something
absolutely
happen.
I mean, well, this is a bit of something. Depends how Aguero plays this.
Yeah, I mean, now they have a flush against the nut flush draw. There's many ways that we could get money in here. I mean, there will be no way that no more urgently on the turn, but does Liquid Zero find a way to bluff somewhere here? Definitely plausible, but having the 7 as well probably slows them down just because they can sort of have some showdown value. This river might change things, though. If Aguero chooses maybe a non-pot sized, like something like 2/3 pot, Liquid Zero is going to be very, very tempted to bluff this river. It won't work, by the way, guys. Interesting. It's probably a little bit too big for Liquid Zero to be tempted because like any flush is just going to snap off the shove anyway. It's not like you have 100 big blinds back and you can really leverage that nut flush blocker in this spot. So I think we will see fold.
Yeah, Aguero just doesn't have a ton of.
Oh, he's going to do it. I love it.
Wow, I mean, we're starting to see free double up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely in love with it, by the way, because of what I said. Like, you're not likely to see someone bluff this spot because, how mental is it to bluff for the extra 10 big blinds there when it's your opponent's telling you they have a really good hand?
I think the way it is now is that people are so infatuated with blockers that they can't not bluff with the ace of the flush. Like, it almost seems like it's a default play at the moment for people.
I would have much preferred it had Aguero gone for something like a block size versus the pot size.
They had a lot more room to fold, whereas you give them like 4-1 or something. I'm
just not sure that Aguero is going to pot things that aren't flushes, and it seems unlikely that we're going to get many things to fold that choose to go pot that are value betting. So it's kind of tough. By the way, a set on the turn here for Liquid Zero, who picks up a set versus the pair of Aguero, and Aguero now in a situation where they could consider bluffing this river. It won't work again, but it's definitely one of those hands like Jack plus, blocking multiple things like straights and 2 pairs and sets. Liquid Zero are going to go for value. How much value? Probably in the region of 2/3 pot. Now, will Aguero take their opportunity to shove? I really don't think they should. Here it comes. It's probably, again, slightly on the bigger side because, look, Liquid Zero's only got 19 back. I guarantee you that it's gone through Aguero's mind to try to bluff this spot. I guarantee you, but I think they'll come out with a fold.
Yeah, Liquid Zero's set is obviously hidden But
oh my word, they've called it off.
yeah, it didn't really make much sense. It's such a weird. Do you know what I mean? It's such a weird card to suddenly be making that big bet on the river, but Aguero was optimistic there, and suddenly Liquid Zero's got the chip lead back.
Yeah, they've gone for the bluff catch with the Jack 10 and been shown the goods, and now all that hard work done with the flush from the previous hand is undone as we enter into what we assume will be the break in just a moment's time.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to make the second break, but
yeah.
Aguero has...
Oh, wow.
We might not. Hang on.
No, we definitely could be in for the end here. We're either at the end, Nick, or we're in for another hour because these two hands are going to be ending up in the middle, and Aguero will have to hit an ace or a jack, or it's going to be over.
Don't worry, you'll still get your tickets. Always say that. People get worried. Here we go. Nine's holding. It's over.
No
Good
ace or jack on the river. Oh,
buried.
A Barry to prolong the evening for everybody, not
you
just
wanted
the
more
players.
heads up. The 888 random number generator also wants more heads up.
Oh, wow. Ace on the river to kill Liquid Zero.
Yeah, Liquid Zero must feel a bit sick because they have generally been chipping down Aguero.
Yeah, they have.
And now they have to win it all over again.
Yeah, they tried to really put them to the edge with that bluff with the ace of clubs. Then they got the value with the set. But now Aguero back in the lead, just pipping. And it looks like we'll go check here, and we're pretty much going to be entirely even. I mean, I imagine this will be folded, and we're pretty much even. We've got 50 big blind. We're going all the way.
We are going all the way. This heads-up match is basically even. Stay tuned for another 3 hours of Edge of Your Seat poker here on 888. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Hey guys, I'm Ian Simpson, and today I am super excited to announce that 888 Poker will now have a HUD or heads-up display built into our software. Whenever you're seated at the table, you'll be able to hover over your opponent's avatar or your own and get some vital statistics about them. You'll be able to see their VPIP, their PFR, their 3-bet, and where they're from. So how do we put this information to work? Let's say you've opened and the button 3-bets. Well, you can hover over your opponent's avatar and see their 3-bet statistic. And here we can see that it's only 4. Now that's actually really small. You can go ahead and safely fold your marginal hand, knowing that they're only 3-betting a very narrow range and they likely have a much better hand than yours. In this scenario, our opponent has a PFR, short for pre-flop raise, of just 10%. That means they're playing a very narrow selection of hands. That means we have to be a little more cautious when dealing with them, as we are likely facing a very strong hand. Jumping over to this spot on the final table of a tournament, we can hover our mouse over our opponent's avatar and see their tournament winnings. We can see this player only has $114 worth of winnings, whereas this player has $140,000 worth of tournament winnings. Now, this doesn't tell the whole picture, but it is indicative of how much experience our opponents have. And finally, in this scenario, we can see our opponent has a VPIP, which stands for voluntarily put in pot, of 40%. Now, that number is really high. Our opponent is playing far too many hands. So when we raise pre-flop, they call and we get this flop, we can bluff a lot more liberally. That's because our opponent is going to have far too many weaker hands that are just going to have to automatically fold to our bet. As you can see, having access to this information can be a real game changer. It can be a big help when making the decisions you're going to have to make at the tables. Give it a try for yourself. Let me know what you think. Tell me which stack you think is the most helpful. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our great content. Thanks for watching, and good luck at the tables.
If you've ever struggled to calculate your equity or pot odds in a hand, you likely need to brush up on your poker math skills. That doesn't mean you need to be a genius or make complex calculations, but learning some fundamental calculations will give you an edge over your opponents. I'm Aaron Baroni, and in this video, I'm going to share 5 poker math principles you should know. Rule of 4 and 2. One of the most important poker math calculations is knowing how to figure out your equity in a hand. This is where the rule of 4 and 2 comes into play. All you need to do is calculate how many outs you have, then multiply your outs by 4 on the flop or 2 on the turn. The number you get is the approximate percentage of making your hand. So in this example, if we flop a flush draw, we would multiply our 9 outs by 4, giving us roughly 36% chance of making our hand. If the turn is a blank, our percentage drops to roughly 18%. This simple calculation alone can give you an edge by helping you avoid spots where you are a huge dog. Pot odds. Many players don't understand pot odds and fall into the trap of wanting to be right at too high of a frequency. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine the pot is 100 and your opponent bets 100. It costs you 100 to call, making the total pot 200. In this situation, you're getting 2-to-1 odds. That means you only need to be right 1 out of 3 times, or 33% of the time, to break even. But here's the exciting part. If you're right even half the time, you're not just breaking even, you're making profit. Understanding pot odds can significantly improve your decision-making and profitability at the table. Understanding blockers. A blocker refers to having a card in your hand that makes it statistically less likely for your opponent to have a strong hand. For example, having a hand like pocket tens on Queen Jack 9-5-3 board would drastically reduce the number of combinations of straights our opponent could have, because we're holding 2 tens, and the only way they can make a straight is by holding one of the final 2 tens in the deck along with a king or an 8. Holding 1 10 would decrease your opponent's potential straights by 25%, and holding 2 would make that number 50%. With our opponent having 50% less straights, we then expect our full equity to go up considerably, and therefore could look to apply pressure. Be aware, our opponent could still have other strong hands, such as a set or 2 pair. Bankroll management. People ask me all the time about how many buy-ins are needed to be sure you won't need to reload. The exact answer to that question is fairly complex, not only because it relies on your edge, but because tournament poker can have so much variance, even over large samples. Let's look at an example of a 1,000-player tournament with a standard payout structure, $10 ABI, 10% ROI simulated for a 5,000 game sample. In that example, half the field would have been fine with a 2,000 bankroll or 200 buy-ins. But that means half the field was not. 15% needed a $5,000 bankroll or 500 buy-ins, 5% needed 7,700 bankroll, 770 buy-ins, and 1% needed 11,000 bankroll or 1,100 buy-ins. 22% of the field was down money despite having a 10% ROI. So when some people tell you 200 buy-ins is enough, it might be, but it might not. The safest way is to be properly rolled for the games you play. Continue to work on your game. As the greater your edge, the less likely you'll be subjected to them.
Welcome back to Magic Mondays. Final table action, heads up action from the 100k Mystery Bounty main event on 888. Nick Wealthall, Nick Eastwood bringing you the action. We've seen a titanic battle if you've been with us for this whole final table. These two started going at it when we were sort of 4-5 handed and have kept going through to the heads up. And just before the break, Liquid Zero almost won the whole thing. An ace on the river deprived them, and we are now level in stacks. You can't call this, can you, Nick Eastwood?
No, I mean, we almost had our metaphorical iceberg to end this titanic battle, as you put it. But
Nice.
unfortunately for fans of tickets, they must wait. Them the rules, and them the breaks. We are going to continue with our heads-up battle until such time as we have a winner, obviously. That is how the game works. It will have to happen at some point. We don't know when that will be. But we know that both players have been having trouble making pairs. Pairs have been few and far between. As again, we are stuck here with Jack High for Liquid Zero, who does take it down. Another Jack 8 offsuit here. And both players, I think, worthy winners. Whoever does come out on top, both battled their hearts out.
They have. They both stayed very aggressive, haven't they?
Yeah, still a long way to go, though, as we look to win that above 7,000 top prize. Aguero here with the pair of sixes decides to value bet the turn. And the Jack 8, with no overcard, does decide to let it go. Very unclear, even if you did hit a pair, whether you'd have the best hand. A couple of aces here, though, as Aguero could certainly go for 3-bet here. And then we could see the big little 4-bet, Nick. You never know. I'm here for it. Personally, I would love to see it. Oh, we're going to get a fold. We're back to normal. How can we possibly end this if people aren't big littling, Nick?
What's happened to the world?
Honestly. Half an hour, and it's just no one's doing it anymore. King Jack, strong hand, heads up, and is going to be rewarded with a 3-bet. 10-8 offsuit, not quite strong enough to hold on. And we are now at a new blind level, and both players below the 50 big blind mark together for the first time. So we will get there eventually. One way or another, we will get there, guys. King deuce here, big little for Aguero, and Liquid Zero does have a playable in position hand and is going to take position to the flop. Slightly bloated this one. Both players pretty whiffy. Aguero whiffing harder for sure, but does have the betting lead and decides to relinquish it, which is very, very interesting. So it's one of those hands where you're like, well, I'm going to bet once because I'm here, and then I'll give up. But decides to check, which is fun. I like it. Liquid Zero does reopen, which is also interesting. I would expect them to try to realise their equity maybe with their overcard and backdoor flush and straight draws. They decide to bet, and they do take it down, to be fair to them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the sort of smaller pots that we've seen have basically been because, as you said, they just haven't been getting dealt hands. They've both stayed pretty aggressive, in fairness to them.
Yeah, very true.
A lot of fear here. There's been no deal done. So they are playing for $2,000. So although it's a mystery bounty, half the prize pool's in the envelopes. This is still a big heads-up match, isn't it? $2,000 is not nothing to play cards for.
It's not so much of a mystery anymore because we've got 2 min bounties out there, and then we've got the money that's up there. So both players, they know what they're playing for. Oh, ace on the river, by the way. And it's going to bring us closer together. Liquid Zero will hate to see that. Would have been very comfortable on the turn and pretty much couldn't have asked for anything worse on the river, as Aguero takes a commanding lead and will probably bet somewhere in the region of 2/3 pot in order to accommodate their rivered ace. The rivered ace is Aguero's friend in recent times, and it's pot. And Liquid Zero will hate that. And does.
Liquid Zero will hate that. True story.
Absolutely hates it. Probably 2/3 pot they would have been hoping to see, so it's not too expensive. This is quite expensive. They've got no time bank. They do make the right decision, though. Maybe if they had more time, they would have come to the wrong one. So Liquid Zero gets out of the way, retains the chip lead.
Just marking your card. Thank you for sticking with us. I hope you're enjoying the poker. There are still 2 $109 tickets to give away. We will give them away before the end of the final table, or at the end of the final table. Interesting flop here. Bit of something for both players, which hasn't happened too many times.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult for both players to have something heads up, and a very big chunk for Aguero, and a middling pair here for Liquid, or the middle pair, if you so desire. And the turn again is going to be disappointing for fans of action. I believe this will probably be the end of Liquid Zero's resistance. We know that Aguero likes to bet these turns. He doesn't shy away from betting these turns. Even the scary 3 straight, 3 flushy kind of things still comes out with massive bets. I'm expecting to see pot again. And we do see about pot. And I think, again, this is probably too big for the 10 of Liquid Zero. But it's not like they can't have a bunch of very strong, like ace-x, like ace-jack and ace-9 that will certainly have to call. They are going to hang on for one more. And I think now probably this river's just a little bit too dicey, and Aguero will be pretty happy to check if Liquid Zero doesn't find bluff. He's near bottom of range now on this river and does decide to bluff for half pot. Very, very interesting. Basically saying, I've got a jack. How do you feel about half pot? And Aguero is not happy now at all. So many things you lose to. And Liquid Zero is hoping that it looks exactly like he has a jack, and it's gotten through a super creative bluff, recognizing that they would really far at the bottom of their range. And the river was probably better for them than it was for Aguero. Really, really tuned in. Any thoughts, Nick?
Many thoughts. Mainly that when time has passed in this heads-up match, Liquid Zero is basically chipped up.
Yes, exactly.
That's basically been the trend.
Yeah.
It's happened. This may be the third time it's happened. Secondly, it's definitely the second time it's decisively happened. So I think Liquid Zero does have a little bit of an edge here.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
But when you get, trip aces and they've got second pair, you can always stay alive.
Yeah, and this is a tough one to let go in this dynamic, and he won't let it go.
He can't let it go, but it's just a good spot for Aguero.
And again, we are leveling ourselves back up. It almost feels like every single time Aguero gets knocked down, it's an uppercut to the chin, and they're right back where they started. And now we're back to rubbish hands. They were doing really well with good hands, guys. Why can't we have a few more of those good hands? No one's got anything here. The first aggressor will be the last. As Aguero has a heart, and that's good enough for them, and they just go for it. And now ace king versus ace six. No 3-bet, saves Aguero some money for now. Will it be more costly? Probably can just go ahead and value bet here, and they do with the ace king high. Lots and lots of hands have to continue that are currently behind. 10 on the turn, probably could go either way with this one as Liquid Zero. Got that ace of spades, so another spade on the river, and you can imagine them representing some flushes. Also very strong at leveraging out some hands that have equity against yours, and does decide to go for another bet. This time Aguero had a hand that was way behind anyway, but you can certainly imagine something like pocket sevens being in a horrible situation there. Or even a 10.
Are the last 2 tickets with adjusted tickets? No, they're not. No, we've got 2 tickets we're going to give away with Lodden Thinks in a second. And then we'll have the Wheel of Justice at the end of this heads up battle on Thursday morning.
Yeah.
For you.
So 4 more tickets.
Get ready. 4 more tickets, in fact. Yeah. 4 more tickets must be won. And if you want to win the Wheel of Justice, you must be here in chat. Someone said, if you're still enjoying the show, you have something called Stockholm Syndrome. That's unfair. Maybe you just got, I want to win a ticket and watch some poker syndrome.
Well, I think there's a chance that we might be revving up towards the finale here, because Liquid Zero's check raised 8 high on the flop, and Aguero's like, nope, got a pair, mate. I'm not going anywhere. And now over to you, Liquid Zero, as the 10 rolls off on the turn, picks up a gut shot. When you get a check raise 8-6, Nick, this is pretty much as good as it gets. And this is a horrible spot for pocket nines. You've got such poor visibility on the river.
Yeah.
How do you proceed against this massive bet?
I love that. Poor visibility on the river is a great phrase.
I mean, there's just no rivers you want to see that aren't a
rivers
9.
you want to see, apart from a 9, and you're almost certainly going to face another bet. That's the...
Well, if it is a 9, by the way, it's over, because they'll give Liquid Zero straight.
Yeah, on this occasion. But I mean, if you're in Aguero's seat.
Yeah, exactly. But it is important to mention that, because obviously that straight draw is unlikely, but the king, there could also be a king jack out there, and 9 may not be clean. It's not definitely the best hand. So like, what do? You just kind of have to accept that you can't hang on and just choose to continue with your queen X, etc. So Liquid Zero, as you've said already, really pummeling home advantage in the small pots, and then just sort of getting done in the bigger ones. The skill pots, as I like to call them. The skill pots are what I win against Ian Simpson poker. And the luck pots are the ones that he wins against me.
That's it. That's how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in heads up, it's the player that wins the pots where both the players have nothing. It's very often the tell, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like Aguero's going to have to try and win this one. Ace of spades. I'm not sure how good of a job they decided to give it up just with the ace high. Decided that they don't do a very, very good job of representing flushes in this situation. And as we know, they've spent the last best part of 2 hours having nothing and putting lots of money in the pot. And Liquid Zero knows this, and Aguero is now maybe a little bit snake bit by that. Pair of kings, though, for Aguero against, this is one of the worst hands you could possibly have here. Aguero will like the turn. Liquid Zero has a 0 equity bluff opportunity here if they decide to take it. I don't recommend these very often. Does decide to give this one up, and now nut flush for Aguero is going to bring us closer together once more, one way or another. I imagine it will be the form of bet fold, but you never know. Check's the only way that Aguero is getting more money here, unless Liquid Zero decides to attack this block. And they are definitely thinking about it, and they are going to attack the block. And now Aguero...
Interesting bet from Aguero. It is almost an inducing type bet, and they get what they want, I think, here.
Absolutely. They'll be shoving this river. This is way too strong of a hand to just call with so much ace-X out there for Liquid Zero that value bets. And here comes shove from Aguero, and 7 high is not going to be the one.
And Nick, we're back to 50-40 big blinds.
We may have to rearrange the Liverpool game on Wednesday.
I have to do something. We might have to
step
force
in
them to put all the money in. You're flipping. That's what you're doing now.
What's the latest that you've ever gone on one of these?
I'm trying to remember. Probably chat knows better than me. I'm trying to remember if you've ever made a third break on one of these. I have a terrible memory for this sort of thing. Lime might remember. Have we ever made a third break on one of these? Final tables? Unsure.
I'm yet to.
We've definitely been a bit longer than this. Definitely, we're not
Yeah.
up there yet. Although this has been a long heads up.
Yeah, this is a marathon heads up. Yeah,
It's about as long as you can get an online heads up, and they're still relatively deep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Boogie, if it makes you feel any better, that doesn't include all the bullets that he's blasted off. It's not the total grand net earnings that he's made. If you see how many times that man has to enter tournaments in order to make money, you wouldn't feel so bad. Flush draw here, 4 high though, more commonly known for Liquid Zero. And 2 pair, but a counterfeit 2 pair for Aguero, who won't be able to fold yet, but would have been a lot happier on flop than turn. And a flush nick on the river for Liquid Zero, who takes the lead. And that is a rough run out. I mean, can you imagine? Like, look at this flop, and they've managed to find a way to lose this hand. Heads up for a lot of money as well. It really, really does hurt because they're going to have a hard time folding. What I wouldn't mind, I know that this is ridiculous. What I wouldn't mind is check raise because you do block a lot of the absolutely very strongest hands, but they do decide to just snap fold it, which is quite tuned in. I mean, you can get some entitlement tilt there. Like I had 2 pair. I don't want to fold this river. It's not fair that I lose this hand, but they do manage to get away from it. I do prefer shove to call in that situation, and I think it would have been very interesting if they had gone for it.
Glorious and Lime say they don't remember a third break. We've never quite got there. Let's see if we do it tonight. All in from the 6s. And if I'll tell you what we will do, we will give away these last 2 $109 tickets to our watching chatters.
Okay.
We'd love you to win one. We'd love you to play in a big tournament on 888 and turn it into lots of cold, hard, delicious cash. We're going to play Lodden Thinks. I'm going to ask Nick a question, so it's Nick Thinks. He's going to answer to the best of his ability, and you are going to guess. And if you guess what Nick thinks, you win. You can play this if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on 888, but only one guess per player wherever you're playing. You can't guess once on each platform either. No one wants to be that guy or girl. Nearest wins. We've got 2 tickets. Must be unique value. Lime runs the contest in chat, so her word goes. Nick, ready to guess your face off?
I will do my very best.
This long heads up has ground the creativity out of me, so I'm going to go very simple. David Tuckman is not here this week. We miss him greatly. Let's say that. No, shout out to Dave and family. He'll be back with us next week. How many Magic Mondays has David Tuckman hosted? That's the question. How many Magic Mondays has David Tuckman hosted? If you've watched them all and you've done a journal about them, you already know. Somebody says 17. You're not going to win.
Well, I could just say 17 and they would win.
Oh, that's true, actually.
Don't, you know. Okay. Let me think about this a little bit. I think okay, so it must be, maybe we'll do... Let's do that.
Nick's counting up all the Magic Mondays he's watched as a child. All of those precious memories.
The problem is I just don't... I'm guessing when it started, I just don't know. So it might have predated me and I don't know if it did. This is the thing.
Predated you? Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good question. Do you know what? I think it... I can't say because the competition's still open.
I'm just going to go with what my best guess. This is what I'm going to go with.
Go with your best guess. That's what this game is. You're trying to interpret Nick's best guess. 2 of you are going to win $109 tickets. Very, very exciting. Good luck.
I'm going to go with this.
AG, Hero Agnes, also known as Aguero.
You see, Lime said, don't think too long, and then gives me the dots as well afterwards. I've only had 30 seconds.
Lime is aggro, man. She's got things to do.
God's sake.
I know. A lot of pressure.
30 seconds. She's giving me the dots.
Aguero bluffed this turn. I don't think they're going to bluff this river. I am completely wrong. And they do. That's a very committed bluff. on a very blanky looking river card.
I didn't see it. I was getting shouted at.
It was a nice bluff. Aguero staying aggressive despite being short stacked. The blinds go up, and we're a little bit shorter now. We're both under 40 big blinds for the first time. It's amazing how deep this heads up has been. I can never quite work out the structures at this final table, despite doing it every week, because the depths that we seem to arrive at the final table at vary so much.
Yeah, I mean, this one's been a real slog, and Liquid Zero has had the slight lead across the whole thing, but now we're getting real close to being completely even again. And at least one thing has happened. We saw our first 3-bet shove of the heads up with those sixes off 30 big blinds, which was maybe a little bit ill-advised anyway. So we had one shove for 3-bet shove. So that's probably a sign when people start 3-bet shoving. It's probably a sign that you come in towards somewhat of a conclusion. And Liquid Zero did pick that pot up, by the way, with a pair of 8s. So every single time now that you win the blinds, when the blinds are now obviously a lot higher than they were when we started this heads up, you really do carve out an opportunity for the next hand to be the last.
Yeah, great way of putting it. And it is amazing the consistency of Liquid Zero having an edge in this, or just slightly chipping up and slightly chipping up. And Edgy Heroes played very well, but they've had to make hands in order to get any kind of purchase at this in this heads up match.
Yeah, I mean,
more pedal to the metal from Liquid Zero. Just
absolutely blasting. And if you'd said to me before the heads up, I probably would have given the edge to Aguero based on what we'd seen so far. But to be fair to Liquid Zero, they've absolutely launched it since we went heads up, and it's really working out for them. Aguero, I mean, you can't be aggressive with nothing against aggression. Like, this is why aggression's so strong, especially heads up. You never really have anything. Both players here with a straight draw, though. Now, Aguero will probably be thinking, I really, really need to win a pot here. And I don't think they'll be slowing down here, not with the 6 of hearts in their hand as well. I think that they'll find a reason to keep going. And this is a tough one out of position for Liquid Zero, to be honest. Does let it go. EC seems so much happier commentating the poker than playing. I mean, I seem
commentating than playing.
I seem happier doing. I seem happier watching Manchester United win than playing.
You can't lose when you commentate, can you? That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, there's nothing to be sad about. It's all good fun and games. I get to spend time with my pals, give silly questions about Liverpool Football Club. What could possibly go wrong? A pair of queens here for sorry, not Aguero. Oh, we got a 2x pot. If Liquid Zero picks this off, he doesn't. Oh, that was a chance potentially for Liquid Zero to take a really commanding lead. Didn't take it though. And now Aguero's really just clinging on for dear life. I mean, 30 big blinds, you really can't describe, I guess, as clinging on for dear life. It's pretty healthy.
It's more the dynamic of the match, you mean, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Just
they've never actually been really ahead in this heads-up match.
I mean, this is tasty. This is about as tasty as it gets.
This is what they need.
This is what we all need. Aguero with 2 pair, Liquid Zero.
We're going to be even in chips again if this holds.
Well, I mean, potentially, Aguero would take the lead if this got all in. I don't think it would get all in, but I imagine Aguero wins a non-zero amount of chips here, unless Liquid Zero finds a way to get away from this at some point. The spade on the turn just makes Aguero's hand better, and Liquid Zero will be pretty happy with it as well, by the way, as now we hit a 2 SPR with top pair against 2 pair, heads up. You don't really tend to get away with those lightly, Nick. As Aguero sizes out a turn, and we know it's coming. Here comes 6.3, and Liquid Zero can't fold just yet. I don't think there'll be any shoving, because if you do shove here and if you get called, you're not going to be ahead. So I imagine that we will just see call, and the King of Hearts may rescue Liquid Zero, losing the rest of their chips. This is going to be wagered. If they have, Aguero will go, well, Queen Jack got there, but guess what, guys? If you've got Queen Jack, dust your hands and move on to the next tournament, because you're not getting away from 2 pair with less than pot back. Here comes shove. Will Liquid Zero hear it off? He does have 2 relevant cards and calls. Wow.
I don't even think it's that big of a hero, is it? I mean,
barely thought about it, though. I mean, they must have just really liked their particular combination. By that, I mean having a 10, blocking a lot of the strongest 2 pairs that Aguero can have, and also some straights with that 7 as well.
And look where we are, Nick. Suddenly,
Yeah.
Liquid Zero is on life support after dominating this heads-up match.
Yeah, and I mean, Aguero, we know whenever they've had chips, they've not stopped pummeling. And they've kept themselves in the game, taken the big spots, lost a lot of small ones, but taken the big pots, the main ones, the big hero spots. They've won them all. And now you have to imagine Aguero is a massive favourite. Especially after this one, where you can, with only a 2 SPR, does Aguero just go, close your eyes and see bet? If this gets through, he can taste the victory. They've closed their eyes and it's gotten through. I mean, gut shot there. I don't know if we need to take a little bit longer as Liquid Zero, but now I think they're in the mode of, I just need to find a hand to double up with.
Yeah, there was even an argument for shoving over that by Liquid Zero. If you think that they're going to continue to bet almost everything, you've got a gut shot on an overcard.
Yeah.
Some fold equity, but it's gone now. And Liquid Zero, very short.
Yeah, we're folding so fast that we don't even get to see the cards right now. And all in the call, it has to be a 5. And only a 5 would stop this tournament being over. Liquid Zero tournament leader the whole time, and now it's over for Aguero, who takes down the tournament just like that, snatches it away from Liquid Zero's hands.
This is why it's so hard to have a long heads-up match online, because just in the blink of an eye, it goes from a small chip lead to one player to the other player winning the match.
Yeah.
But somehow we had a titanic battle. It lasted nearly an hour online heads-up. That is very unusual. Hope you enjoyed it watching. Thanks, Nick, for making it so entertaining with the analysis. Liquid Zero looked the winner for a lot of it, but Aguero Agnes, or AG Hero Agnes, is your winner, is your champion. Will take home $7,300 for their troubles. Liquid Zero played really well in the final table and the heads up. Takes home $5,300 plus both their bounty hauls. Well done to both of them. Fun final table. Nick, we've got business to attend to.
We better attend to it then.
2 tickets to give away, big tickets as well, $109 tickets. I asked you, how many Magic Mondays has David Tuckman hosted?
I mean, I just didn't know when you started. So what I did was I just did from when I started, because I think that's when we just started kicking up the Twitch stuff. I was in the infancy of it. So I assumed that you may have started about 3.5 years ago. So I did 42 months. And then I think I got to 166 or something. And I just shaved off a bunch of days that Tuckman couldn't be bothered to come in. Yeah. So 122 was the answer.
122. That is the exact right answer to the question. What does Nick Eastwood think the number of Magic Monday shows David Tuckman's hosted is? It is 122. Well done to everyone who was close. There were a lot of close guesses on this one. So it was about who was first. Chip Taker was the first person to get it exactly right. Well done, Chip Taker. 122 was right on the money. And then with 125, lots of people guessed this, but the first guess was Randy Tegrity. Always Randy and always honest about it. Randy Tegrity wins a $109 ticket as well. Congratulations, winners. Thanks for sticking with us. You need to continue to stick with us if you are on the Poker Wheel of Justice. Our last piece of business tonight, an unusually long show, as ever, we're going to go out on a high by awarding some more tickets. If you want to be on this wheel next week, you need to redeem 4,000 Twitch points with the channel. That gets you on the wheel. But let's have a look. Lots of names on there this week. Nick, I'm going to let you do the honors.
Oh, I've got nothing left to give, Nick. Let me
channel it.
What
Happen. You won't believe it.
Spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel. Here we go. Round and round she goes. She'll land on someone that's been good this week. Only good people win this prize. That's a fact. And the first potential winner is, you must be in chat to claim your prize. Cattle won. Cattle won. Cattle won. Cattle won. Are you here, Cattle won?
Nick should have been in bed an hour ago, guys. There we go.
I should have my brandy 45 minutes ago. Cattle won. Congratulations. You won a $109 ticket. That's awesome. Big prizes on Magic Monday, as ever. Exchange that, turn it into lots of cash with some awesome poker. Good luck to you. We've got one more to give away. I'll take this one. Spin the wheel.
Oh, you did a much better job. Mine sounded like I was constipated.
I've caught left tonight, so you've given us everything with your analysis.
Yeah.
Who's going to win our last ticket of the night? It is Moreskvnm. Moraes Kvm.
Can we go 2 for 2? Have we ever gone 2 for 2 before?
Yeah,
oh, there we go, 2 for 2.
Not only can we do that, we have done that.
We have done it.
The poker
It must be
gods respect
bedtime.
The fact that we've put in time tonight.
Yeah.
Maurice, well done. You are our last winner of a $109 ticket. Lots more $109 tickets or big tickets always to give away on Magic Monday. So that will happen next week. I'm sure David Tupman will be back. A big thank you to Nick for stepping in at quite short notice tonight. Always a pleasure to hear your analysis, mate.
Thank you very much. Pleasure
Really, really
as
good
always.
job by you. If you haven't already, make sure you follow his Twitch channel and watch his streams, which are super entertaining. Thank you for the pleasure of your company tonight, chat. We really appreciate it. Thanks to Lime and Hayden. And we will see you all next week for another Magic Monday. Good night.
Bye-bye.